Hello and welcome everyone. This is Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Welcome you to the Wednesday stream. And hey Monom, no, and well, we're gonna be there for having the new Godesses and the God Pack and whatnot. Right now the minor gods and everything. Today, no, and well, we have right now the information in here, the all-in-one collection. Yeah, I'm thinking this is actually highly, I don't like this, how they have done that, because I was absolutely convinced that they are gonna be, after the release is gonna be in, that we're simply gonna be getting an option to buy just the God Pack, because nothing has been ever anywhere posted that it's not gonna be the case. So I'm thinking that they've already embarked upon, let's lie to the community as much as possible and, well, wrench money out of stupid idiots, because we're gonna be closing the gates. I'm thinking that's kind of like the mindset that they have already entered, because this definitely do not like that, especially when you have Blood and Bones pack and exclusive to the expansion pass. All of these things are exclusive to the expansion pass. You can't get them without the expansion pass. So what the hell is this supposed to be meaning? You can't buy Demeter on her own. You can't do that. So what the hell is this actually supposed to be? This kind of text. Maybe they were having different plans, but they decided to be doing this. Oh, well, like looks like they are just like straight line to people and playing on FOMO, but yeah. So I really do not understand this at all. Just kind of looks like that all of these four things are only if you buy the expansion pass. You can't buy anything on its own. Because from this you will be thinking that Demeter is on its own, Obsidian will be on its own, and Blood and Bones would be exclusive here. Plus there's some being a bit of a like a extra. So yeah, pretty deceptive and straight lie up, I think, in the text. So, well, it's that story. So far they have been holding kind of alright, but I'm thinking that they've already gone a bit overboard. No, and well, considering what I've already heard and read about the DLC, well, probably gotta be careful what we wish for the Aztecs in there. New update, of course, which was felt practically nothing has changed in there, nothing serious. That was really 2 months without a patch, and we get about 3 things changed in the game, which are irrelevant. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that we can kind of see that they probably do not want to be spending too much time on Age of Mythology, unfortunately. Or unfortunately, expectedly, of course, looking at the player numbers and whatever. They have already milked their millions, and now it's time to shelve it as Age of Empires 3. So, a bit of a pessimism here at the start, but that's how it all kind of looks to me, with what we have gotten and in which kind of way. So we're gonna be today getting classic community games all around. I'm hoping we're gonna be getting Demeters somewhere, but we can't choose per god, so just gonna have to be lucky. And I'll be also liking to have a look at the Tech Tree. Well, probably could be wanting to have a look at the start so that we have some kind of understanding of everything. So let's maybe can I have a look. That's gonna be there for learn, right? Okay then, so let's have a look at Mistress Demeter here. So she's gonna be having expansion, resource gathering. Well, that is kind of understandable. Her doubles improve favor gather rate when near a temple. Max 10 her doubles per temple. Okay, so that's kind of their variant of a... I was already thinking if maybe the Hearth is not gonna be working as a kind of like a Gurjara mill. But it looks like this is gonna be somewhat of a borrowed idea. That was basically gathering extra free favor. It's gonna be motivating you to place a bit safer temple than usual. Closer to the TC so that you don't lose them. But nonetheless, just like a free favor. I wonder how it kind of works, because it's gonna like improve favor gathering rate, so you probably have to be having a villager in there. And then it's gonna be improving then further, right? Interesting. And considering how many herdables you have across the maps, I'm kind of thinking that, well, it's gonna be somewhat easy to have them. Again, another reason to rethink the millions of herdables on every single map, in my opinion, but we'll see. Town and village centers spawn herdables on age up. So we have kind of like a Tatar bonus from Age of Empires 2, where you get, when you build a TC, you get herdables. This is gonna be on age up, so kind of between Tatars and Bengalis. Bengalis are spawning villages on advance. No, so that's like a... I mean, like, how to say I'm a stupid and not a good designer, then have a bonus, and then have another bonus that actually enables that previous bonus. Well... But nonetheless, again, for example, the red they have added with, what was it, the Chinese? Thinking with the Chinese. That is, of course, already quite a bit broken. Nobody's complaining about it too much because it's not entirely too often seen in the games. The one that spawns to 2 piggies every about 3 minutes or whatever. It's just like straight broken in the kind of like design of Retold. And even in the original game, I guess, but in the Retold especially. And, well... Now some free herdables, so we're just gonna can be even more camping in the base. Again, the whole problem of the game is there are way too many things in your base, and you add even more? No, you are not listening. Or, in the other way, you are absolutely ignoring competitive gameplay, and let's make it the most fun for casuals, which I can understand, but, well, admit it, so that the competitive players don't have to be confused why things are the way they are. I've already, of course, seen a few posts from yesterday, or since yesterday. No, well, at least some people are already understanding that really competitive gameplay is absolutely not a focus for them. And this is definitely, I think, another one of those. So, again, fun for the casuals, for sure. But, from our competitive point of view, because that's, of course, the most content that we do here, yeah, not cool. Buildings built faster when close to gold mines. I already do have a bit of an idea, so I'm not looking at this completely first time, but that's gonna be having some kind of like with Midas, the guy that is turning dead units into mines or whatever along those lines. Not sure. Can be looking at that in a moment, a hero. But yes, building faster and close to gold mines, which is gonna be, of course, making quite a bit easy to defend forward gold mines, I guess. It's an interesting mechanism, but yeah, just because of the interplay with the hero, which I'm not entirely liking too much because you are just gonna get in way too gimmicky here and way too super duper specific. Now supposed to be having some kind of generalist bonuses that we are so far being about. I guess, well, again, running out of ideas and need to milk the money, right, somehow. So yeah, not liking that too much within the design, but whatever. +1 villager can work a farm. That's pretty broken. That is straight up pretty broken in my opinion, this one. This is a very strong bonus. Let's see how it plays. No, basically half the farms that you need. That is a huge bonus for some, basically, again, camping in your base. If you're gonna be camping from the start, and maybe even forced to camp, then yeah, okay. Village centers have additional HP and increase attack per garrison villager. No, they're just like a desperate attempt to be making village centers relevant again, because again, we have talked about it quite often, that after the release of the game there were plenty of builds with those, but you absolutely do not see them used at all lately. Not lately, last maybe, I don't know, more than half a year. They're absolutely out of any kind of use cases. So, alright, let's try to see if this is gonna be reviving that, but again, more motivation to be just camping your base and not ever leaving it. So, not liking it too much, but this is gonna be basically replacing something like a role of Hades that used to be, especially at the end of the original game on Woobly, where he was like a super defensive god. Looks like a Demeter is gonna be somewhat on that line. No, a bit of a weird pack. Right now the bonus is here. Oh, I'm definitely sounding quite a bit negative and pessimistic, but to be honest, they did decently with the other gods and its civilizations, but this seems to be pretty weak to me. Okay, but it's gonna be some different style of gameplay, therefore. The players will be maybe having to figure out. So they got Power Wither, target location with berries, farms and trees, rendering terrain sterile for a short period of time. Again, we'll be having to see it. I've already seen plenty serious complaints. Up until, for example, can Demeter be removed completely from the draft from the Pandora's Box tournament? Not gonna be naming who did that, but top expert player, so who already definitely does have ideas there. No, nonetheless, Divine Labor. So it's gonna be a special ability And upgrade. Demeter's blessing increases villager good and gold and wood carrying capacity and heals them when dropping resources. No, wood and gold carry capacity is actually pretty important. It seems like it's maybe small, but within the mountainous of Age of Mythology is pretty damn large. Pretty damn large in there. Because that's gonna be basically a third extra, right? You have 15 normal capacity. So that is actually very strong. It's very strong, the carrying capacity. And well, plus 18 on drop of healing, considering what is it, 55 are the hit points of villages, so third hit points on a drop off. It's kind of slightly offset by the fact that the drop off is gonna be slower, but you can micro it, right? You can just kind of... It's practically impossible to die if you're gonna be getting raided. Because if you're gonna be next to a storehouse, you can force click. You can just kind of force click, and if you're gonna be gathering for at least a second, you're gonna be getting one food or one wood, and you can immediately go back and get the healing, right? I'm hoping it's working that you at least have to be having resources. If it would be touching storehouse healing, I'm hoping not, because that would be absolutely stupidly OP. But even this seems extremely strong. The cost is at least slightly prohibitive on the food in that. 200 is a lot in the early game. 15 favor, probably not. Because if you have right now the bonus from the herdables and whatnot, I mean, like you have already normal builds, like for Hades, where you have villages on favor for the Vaults of Erebus. So thinking favor is definitely reachable. The food might be a bit more of a challenge, but it absolutely seems worthwhile. Absolutely seems worthwhile. The drop of healing really should be meaning you just kinda don't die to the raiding. And you can have a pretty unsafe raiding as well, in my opinion. Would be also interesting to see if it influences people to be dropping a bit more mining camps, for example, around gold mines, so that you have better spread and you don't have to be traveling with the villager too far, so easier healing in general. So pretty powerful, in my opinion. But again, will have to be seen how it's gonna be included in the game and when, based on the resources. I think it cost is a bit interesting on that. And that design-wise is probably interesting, but nonetheless, the effect seems to be broken to me. And, well, we really will be having Hestia in third age and Pan in the second. I'm a bit disappointed by that, but in the end, doesn't really matter too much. Persephone was, of course, clear. Now, and the combination is with Ares. I can understand it from the design standpoint and point of view. That one I can understand because, again, Ares is kind of like the least used, and you can't be having Hermes because Arcadian Meadow is very similar in effect. Athena is overused, so understand it from the design point of view. From the mythological point of view, makes no sense, because as we have already discussed before, Ares is having a beef with her and he's against. So I guess it's probably supposed also to be meaning maybe like a opposites, right? Like a good and kind of bad, harvest and famine and whatnot. So maybe it's like an idea there, but nonetheless, as what we have here. No, and Pan is currently having there for Arcadian Meadow. Again, we have to be seeing, there's no extra information in here. We'll have to be seeing how it works. Lykaons, of course, Myth Unit Villager, improved gather speed from huntables and herdables. So you're just gonna be there for motivating to go for outside hunt. Now, and if you're gonna be combat... Now, I wonder actually if the Divine Labor is gonna be working on those as well. Well, we're probably thinking that not. Because this is right now increases villager, and it's not gonna be special, so I'm hoping not. I'm gonna have to be kinda busted, in my opinion, if it were the case. Transforms when in combat, sure. We'll see how it works out. 80 wood, 100 gold. Whoa, that's kinda expensive. That is definitely not cheap. A 15 favor, that's kinda like in line here. No, but the cost is definitely high. But I guess that's to be offset in the fact that they are practically villages in Island. No, but if you're gonna be there for going for Pan, and I'm also disappointed really this combination. Why is Hestia getting Dryad? There's no mythological connection there. I mean, like, again, lycanthropes are not also mythologically precise, or simply they don't have them, Greeks. So they've just like completely abandoned the mythology and some kind of like mythological realism, or how to call that, within the religion. Or like mythology, not religion is kind of a strong word for that. But within those realms, I guess. So yeah, that's disappointing to me. Really thinking Hamadryad should have been with Pan, because Pan is having kind of like multiple stories of abusing some dryads and whatnot. So, and the Pan flute, that's actually strictly one dryad that he was pursuing, turned into reeds. And because he wanted to be close to her, then he cut down some reeds around there, around the spot where she was turned. And then, well, he was having the instrument. Kind of like spoiler alert, nobody kind of knew if he cut down also the actual dryad or not. So we don't really know if it's weird or not. That's kind of left out. But yes, dryad and Pan, again, this makes no sense to me, design-wise, or kind of like mythology-wise. But okay. Didn't want to be, I guess, having gods similar to Dionysus in Heroic Age. I can kind of maybe understand that logic, but would be thinking that Hestia could be a bit more of a basic god with how she is, because she's kind of also a bit of a basic goddess to be worshipped in the Greek mythology. So that's why also she would be making way more sense for the second age. No, and for the extra things. So Thorned Walls. Alright, so that's what we have seen on the picture. It's ability, kind of like upgrade. Cost is kind of fine for a Greek on the wood in the Pan's protection allows walls to deal damage when attacked by melee units. So basically Iron Maiden kind of from like Diablo and stuff. Reflect action adds 3 to reflect attack damage. So basically 3 damage when it's being attacked. No. Frankly, that's basically like 3 per second on each of the unit attacking. It's gonna be really useful for against like 2-3 units at the start of the classical age that I'll try to attack you. That it will be really useful, but with the cost you're gonna be getting it later, so it's gonna be bigger armies, so easier to pull down the walls. Seems kind of weak maybe. Definitely aimed for early ages. Early age. Like beyond the heroic age it's gonna be useless kind of. Unless it's scaling somehow. Probably not impressed. Pan's Pioneers. Emerge after town and village centers are built. Adds 1 to Lykaon spawning upon building. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna be getting that upgrade. And then you're gonna be building TCs and you're gonna be getting Lykaons. Huh. That maybe actually could be good in certain situations. That could be a build around that maybe. I can imagine Predator Instinct. Pan upgrades Lykaons to Alpha Lykaons, increasing their speed, attack, and allowing them to transform at will. Okay. Aha. Okay, so normally you're just gonna be, when you attack, right click onto a unit, they're gonna be transforming. And then you probably have to be clicking an economical thing to be transforming them back. So you can entirely hide as well. Oh, seems a bit gimmicky, but maybe. But speed 20% is pretty nice, I guess. I'll be having to see what kind of statistics actually we have on them. And Super Saiyan, you can't. You can't. Aha, that's interesting. All right, that makes sense. Okay, that's making sense therefore, and that's quite an expensive actually right now upgrade. So evidently you're just gonna want to be having a villager, and potentially if you are raided, you're just gonna be wanting to turn like 1 into a unit, and then you're just gonna be having a myth unit. That's an interesting mechanism and idea beyond that therefore. Yeah, that's a pretty expensive one. That's probably not gonna be researched at all in my opinion. I kinda can't entirely see the use case for that. 300 foot in classical age, like who the hell is gonna be using that? Unless there's gonna be some possibility of like a automaton spam practically. That the Lykaons would be strong enough for that, then maybe. But that seems like a niche use case, and considering how also expensive they are, I don't know, it doesn't fit to me. And this would be worth it too much. However, the speed is kinda nice, potentially for economical further bonuses maybe. So kinda like down the line in the late game maybe. I kinda wonder how it's gonna be playing out, because I can imagine scenario like with Atlanteans. that you are getting hero citizens, right? To simply improve your economy. And I wonder if maybe in the later game, you're gonna be wanting to replace your villagers with Lykaons and get them the plus 20% speed and therefore like increasing the overall effectiveness of your economy. But again, I'm thinking a Divine Liber most probably doesn't work on those, so that's gonna be a malus. Yeah, I'm thinking this deck will have to be cheapened. 300 is nonsense for a classical age, in my opinion. But yeah, well, interesting. No, and for Heroic Age we have Aphrodite. We kinda guess that's gonna be the case. That makes sense. You kinda don't want to be having another Apollon in there, an Underworld passage into the Undead and whatnot. That's kinda toxic. And Dionysus, when you have Pan, also seems a bit wild. Also Dionysus is very popular, so not much of a reason for that. So, Hestia. You'll see how the Communal Hearth works. I've already seen certain strategies on Discord and no, seems kinda weird. I'm hoping to be seeing it in action, to be able to determine if it's really stupid or not, but so far seems like there are gonna be some toxic use cases already. Hamadryad, no, we know. Gonna be having to see how she works. Again, I'm gonna be repeating it ab absurdum. I don't understand how Hamadryad is not tied to Pan. How this is not turned over. Because sure, what are you gonna be giving Hestia? Yeah, well, anybody's guess. But I would be thinking it to be making more sense to be adding villages to her practically, supporting the economy. I'm really thinking this is weird. Hestia should have been here, classical age, with the Lykaons, and really, Pan here in the Heroic Age with Hamadryad, but that's just like, whatever. Just kinda thinking they have somewhat given up on being like mythologically realistic, as I mentioned. Gracious Hospitality. Nurturing presence causes farms next to town centers to give additional population. Max 2 farms per town center. And that's a population above normal pop? Or is it like instead of houses? This is gonna be like above normal pop limit, right? Considering that it's max 2 farms per town center, it's gonna be, yeah, that's gonna be bonus like Isis then. With the wording that we see here and the limitation onto 2. I'm gonna be assuming that's how it will be. Not a friend of duplicating other civilizations bonus. Thinking that's stupid, especially as a tech. Considering that it's one of the major plays, or used to be in, well, I guess used to be at this point, it's not entirely as relevant for the Isis anymore, but whatever. That's pretty cheap for that. It's pretty cheap for extra pop limit. If you're gonna be having 3 TCs, I can imagine you get maybe, was it going to be 5? I'm gonna be assuming per farm, because you can't be making it too much. So that's gonna be 10 population limit per TC, as if you were having Citadel. So you can be having 30 pop. Oh, wait a second, that sounds high. If that would be really 30 population limit extra, no, I'm hoping not. That has to be there for lower when you think of it. I'm looking forward to what this actually means. This seems kinda broken. Especially for the cheap cost. Because I mean, like, for Greeks, favor is not a cost. Whatever kind of god, especially when you have the bonus in her even. Then yeah. We'll see. Hello to Woodlands. Hestia upgrades Hamadryads to Sylvan Hamadryads, which can disguise themselves as trees to hide from opponents. Okay, so that's a special ability. Right, so without that, you are a myth unit that can, when upgraded, hides as a tree. Okay, so if you don't do that, if you don't do get the upgrade, you're just gonna be having a normal Dryad as from Hesperia 3, I guess. 150 and 100. That's actually a bit of a theme in here. Just the Siren is gonna be costing normally. Yeah, they want to be experimenting with different costs. I guess in the end. It's kind of a bit weird, because usually it's kind of nice to be having something that, for example, doesn't cost gold. So this costs gold, and then you're gonna be having the Sirens for food in the late game. I mean, like, that's actually kind of nice. Having a myth unit in the Mythical Age that doesn't cost gold, that's a new one. And I don't like it too much, because obviously it's easier to potentially produce infinite food. No, we'll get there, but nonetheless, Hamadryads, you have to be having 300 food, so they are assuming that it's gonna be quite a bit powerful ability to hide there. Alright, I can understand the cost kind of, if it's gonna be really that good. And Fated Arrows. Hestia's Divine Intervention guides archers' arrows to ricochet. Chain Lightning, okay, up to 3 nearby enemy units, dealing less damage with each bounce. No, that is stupidly powerful. If you, for example, combine it with here, even Ares, and get into Enyo's Bow of Horror for extra damage. No. It's kind of expensive, 30 favor, so they are realizing that it's gonna be pretty good, in my opinion. No, heavy archer, therefore. Kind of playing into the role of Hades a bit there. This seems pretty good for late game. Pretty good for late game, but it kind of depends what kind of situation the game is gonna be in. Because of course Aphrodite is inherently a nice goddess because of the curse. It's a fairly influential god power that really does do a lot of things. Does have economical bonus in there as well. So that's gonna be based on situation. What's gonna be useful. If it's gonna be mostly about the Communal Hearth, I'm kind of thinking if it's gonna be good or not. But Fated Arrows, I can definitely see some strength in it. Quite a bit assuredly. No, and the mythical we get Hephaestus. I'm kinda happy that we don't get Hera, that we're gonna be keeping her with Zeus. I'm kinda happy for that, and keeping the theme with Hepha. Sure, why not, I guess. Getting Artemis is not entirely all that much needed. However, it would be kinda somewhat thematic. As she was kinda tied to the myth with Persephone and whatnot, so it would be kinda cool to be having both of these. However, probably no problem in here. Again, potentially interested in a Gastrophetes together with the Fated Arrows. Could that be some kind of combination that works? Oh, Gastrophetes, yes, go. No, well, that reminds me, we don't get Gastrophetes, of course, at this point. I was a bit more tied through Hades in there already. We're gonna be getting some different unit, right, as a special. Megastrophet or Harpies. Okay, so the Harpies are going to be the special unit for her. So, yeah, okay. So that's what I didn't understand before. I was thinking it's gonna be instead of like a scout, but Harpies are gonna be like an extra unit. Bit kind of shame that we are getting into a mythological unit instead of some kind of human unit. That's breaking the theme there. No, nonetheless, Persephone, Queen of the Underworld, and we have therefore the Underworld Invasion. Again, the question is, if you and when you're gonna be wanting to cast it, because you're gonna be having to keep some kind of eye upon how many units have died. I would not be assuming you'll be getting counter of dead units as in Hearthstone, for example. It'd be way too easy. That's an interesting addition that wasn't in the text in the original article. Settlements cannot be repopulated for some time. No, well, that's actually kind of decent, I think, an idea. Because we can definitely just gonna prepare. Already Ragnarok was that way. That you would be having resources gathered before you would be casting Ragnarok so that you can continue producing after. So this would be somewhat similar. You'll see right now the Sirens. Lowering units. Again, this one I think it might be pretty annoying for casuals. Probably not entirely too much of an effect on high level players. Because they usually are able to control their units pretty well. They have the APM for that, but we'll see. Sacred Land. Under Persephone's cycled running gaze, farms heal a single unit standing on them. One unit. I mean, like, they're just getting kind of stupid, kind of Diablo 4 level weird design. That you are having an ability that works 1 day a week on a special hour and full moon. Not liking that at all. It's like unnecessarily complicated, but well, any kind of like array of effect heal would be not entirely too nice. It's super cheap. Heals a single unit. I guess it's gonna be probably healing even myth units, right? That's where it's gonna be mostly useful, in my opinion. Oh, it's cheap, but feels like it's not gonna be too super useful. But I guess no harm in getting it, right, for the cost. Enchanted Hymn. Persephone upgrades Sirens to Prima Sirens, who inflict more damage and increase the speed of entranced units. Huh. Okay, so it's just gonna be walking to you faster. That's an interesting bonus. And area, any alluring area damage? Oh yeah, this way. I was kind of thinking if it's supposed to be aria, but no, it's aria as in like a type of song. Okay. Right. So it's like a special ability. And Pious Sacrifice. Fallen Persephone's name. Infantry units temporarily increase nearby allied humans' rate of fire when killed. Well, yeah, I'm not really liking those additions into Retold. When something dies, nearby units get inspired and whatnot. I haven't really seen it have any kind of super great effect anywhere, so I'm not really sure if it is really useful. Like, for example, with the Berserkers, the bonuses and stuff, so hard to say. Not sure if there's any kind of like definite idea if it is useful or not. So on death, nearby human units receive minus 10% attack speed for 5 seconds, can stack 5 times to max. Well, that's basically like something like World of Warcraft. You have all these stacks at this point already, Jesus Christ. Again, they just like absolutely deviating from what the game is. No. Well, so minus 50% at the max. So usually they have in about like 1, so you can be having like half a second on attack. It doesn't seem... No, it's not too bad. Considering the cost, it's kind of manageable. Resource is fine, favor 30, a bit higher, but could be interesting though. Can definitely see it for some kind of heavier melee units and melee armies. It could be probably useful. Which kind of counterplays, for example, the archers in here, so I guess you're gonna be wanting to make a choice possibly. Which kind of focus you want to be getting to be maximizing this. But theoretically, if you will be having some heavy infantry army, then this might be having some decent effect in there. For example, no, we don't get Sarissa luckily. I was kind of thinking about hopefully Sarissa with this could be probably broken. Not till. Okay then. Okay then, so we're just gonna need to be seeing the effects in action and how powerful they are. So what are the heroes? So we have Orpheus as the first one. His song has an aura that makes allied human units more effective against myth units. Collects relics. Fortunately can't be seeing his statistics in here. You're gonna be having to wait for the game. It's kind of like slightly playing into like the Atlantean hero system. It doesn't seem like too much of a bad bonus actually. That's gonna be pretty good bonus against typically somebody like Atlantean or Norse. But you're gonna be having to of course keep him somewhat safe beyond the lines, not entirely involved in the fight too much. No, theoretically this is an interesting bonus. That might not be entirely too bad. Interesting again. Then second, Iolaus. Really? Iolaus as a hero? I mean, like he was helping Heracles. He was his cousin, I think cousin of Heracles he was. So he was helping with the Hydra. But that he would be like a hero on his own? Not sure. But at the same time, I'm not entirely certain what kind of other like people from history and from mythology we could be coming up with. Theoretically, we could be getting Tantalos, Sisyphos, those involved in the specific myths. And those maybe could be fun, but I guess, sure, whatever. It's gonna be though kind of interesting to be having Iolaus fighting against Heracles, right? That's kind of odd from that point of view. Not liking it. From that, I'm not liking that, but whatever. Good against myth units. Witches to ranged attack to flying units. Okay, so he doesn't have anything special, it looks like. Seems to be having some rope. Some whip as an attack. Huh. Not sure. But cost... Wow. What? 175 gold in the classical age for a hero. That's kind of a lot. Who is actually costing gold? For the Hades, Achilles? Yeah, okay. It's gonna be the same as Achilles. It's gonna be holding within reason at least. Can say it now with the others. Heracles. Okay, so they basically standardized that. I'm still living in the olden ages where the heroes were actually having different costs between the gods and whatnot, so that's gonna be alright, I guess. In the Heroic Age, we're gonna be getting Icarus. I'm very surprised that we get actually Icarus already in Heroic Age. I'm really thinking that fire should be limited to Mythic. Not liking that too much, but sure. Let's see how it works out. Has a ranged attack that is good against myth units. No, logically. No, Melak, logically. Okay, so ranged attack for him, sure. Gonna have to be there for seeing the statistics. I think I've already read something that he's having like a crush damage or whatnot. I mean, like, that could be making sense. Has a ranged attack that is good against myth units. No, that would be kind of crush damage because the crush armor is where potentially myth units are damaged well. No, and last one is gonna be there for King. Midas may convert and defeated enemies into gold mines. Huh. That equals gold is kind of thematic, I guess. No. That might be having some interesting effect potentially in the middle of the fight, because if you're gonna be turning a unit into a gold mine, you're gonna be instantly screwing up pathfinding there, right? So I wonder how rechargeable that ability is going to be, and what kind of gold mines it's actually gonna be turning into, how much gold it's going to be. I have to be waiting to see how potentially useful or not it is. But just like, that's a wild ability. Like, seriously. And how is it connected to fighting, really, in any kind of way? Like, you're having, for example, Perseus with insta-kill. Then you have the throw with Polyphemus. Bellerophon is having a jump. Sounds is kind of like out there. No, okay then. And what was the bonus there for here? Yeah, the one buildings built faster when close to gold mines. It's probably somehow that could be the synergy. Not but hard to see if it's gonna be really useful or not. And where do we have the Harpies? There's the Harpy. Okay, she's actually made from a castle. Okay, makes sense. Same as the other special units. So Harpy ranged myth unit attacks. Why is it a myth unit? What? Why is it a myth unit? Is Myrmidon a myth unit? Is Gastrafeda Zetairo a myth unit? Why? Why would you be breaking the civilization design? Like, what the hell? Okay, so apparently you're not entirely playing by any kind of rules and you just add in random things. No. Definitely not liking this at all. Attacks from air and abducts enemy units. That doesn't make sense. I mean, like, myth units are made from a temple. No, well. Attacks from the air and abducts enemy units. Can only be attacked by ranged units. No, we're gonna have to be seen how the effect works. And there's even an upgrade. Again, what kind of upgrade do we have for Myrmidon and whatnot? You don't. Iron Grip. Demeter upgrades Harpies to Nephilan Harpies, which are faster, can carry units for longer, and can drop them at will. That's a pretty cheap upgrade, by the way. Speed 10%, abduct duration, sure. How much cost it? She's actually very cheap. No. Oh. No, we'll have to be seen how it's utilized. I can potentially see maybe some kind of ability. If it's gonna be able... If she's gonna be able to get, for example, catapult or whatnot, it might be pretty useful to pick up siege weapons and kind of screw the enemy sieges. For that might be really useful. Okay, that's not entirely making me too enthralled, but we'll see how it works out. And something else, probably not right. I Thinking it should be pretty much everything here, therefore. For Demeter, no, definitely quite a deviation from standard Age of Mythology design. Some things interesting, some things I'm definitely against and don't agree with what they are trying to do with the game. But they seem to be just kind of like opening spaces for them for adding some further things, no? So basically just completely destroying the game's design and trying to change it into something else even more than they have already ruined the game with. But that's obviously up to everybody's opinion. But my opinion is quite a bit conservative because simply Age of Mythology was a good game and didn't need to be completely changed. No, but this one I'm not really too enthralled about, but whatever. We'll see how it's gonna be playing out therefore. But I've already seen and heard plenty of complaints about it as well from others, so I'm not gonna be probably alone in that. But hopefully we're gonna be seeing Demeter today and having some showcases of the god powers and whatnot to understand if maybe players already do have some ideas or plans, and well, if there are already some kind of strategies that are straight broken or whatnot. But interesting one. Interesting one indeed. Of course, I mean, like the bonus, as I was at the upgrade for the Myth unit, in Myrmidons they do not have like a direct upgrade, or the Hetairo and Gastraphetes, but you practically have the special weapons from Hephaestus, for example. Could be saying that that's useful in there. But, as you can see, Olympian weapons work even for Harpies. Then, why is the Harpy getting extra attack, the extra bonus in there? Yeah, I'm not liking this kind of breaking of the design. Because it's gonna be potentially either limiting you in maybe creating something new, but it maybe could be just kind of signaling that they really do not plan to be adding anything to super new anymore. And the Aztecs will be really the last one and close the doors. So maybe they're approaching it with that, but yeah, well, we'll have to see about it. Okay, so I know what to expect maybe from Demeter. And I guess let's have a look at some games. If you're gonna be able to find, therefore, some actual games with her. We can't be seeing it here, so it's just gonna be joining random games, and hopefully during the evening we're gonna be seeing some game. And we're gonna be able to therefore analyze it, maybe even with some decent players. Hard to say currently. Arturello, Black Velvet, Narcotic, Chromic. Okay, so right now they're going for a 3v3. Might actually do that. Even though we have just seen them, then we don't entirely get too many team games, so I'm thinking 3v3 is a good option. Demeter main. Maybe we're gonna be finally seeing also the Demeter then. Oh, wow. Okay. Talking about Demeters, so that's kind of what we wanted, right? So 5 Demeters, and we're gonna be there for maybe even seeing some kind of interesting combinations of the god powers and level multiples. So somewhat looking forward to it. Maybe we're gonna be already seeing some kind of complete nonsenses therefore. So what are gonna be there for the teams? So Black Velvet, that is also the Italian. Okay, so it's gonna be maybe all Italian people, not sure. But whatever the case, I haven't noticed on the loading screen how it was. But you're gonna be having Chromic, who is not playing the Demeter. Diesel Ray, I guess he's probably not having the DLC. No, it will be probably all Demeters. But well, nonetheless, Demeter here for Chromic. Gold mine in here to the top. He's gonna be in the pocket position. Then on the flanks we have Black Velvet, therefore, with a bit of a forward gold, but frankly with the mountain and forest nearby, I think we are fine. That's a horrible, please, oh Jesus Christ. Classic Age of Mythology storehouse in the furthest reaches of the trees and forests, instead of placing somewhere here or there. Whatever. Classic AOM, unfortunately. No, and last player here to the right, that's gonna be Arturello K10, and he is gonna be therefore playing with, right now, the gold mine upwards, so pretty safe, seems to me. Yeah, it seems to be pretty safe map overall. Plenty of mountains and everything here in the 3v3. And for the opposition, Narcotic will be, of course, what else also than Demeter. Gonna be having also back gold mine here. In the pocket they have therefore the only non-Demeter player, Diesel Ray. And he's gonna be therefore playing... Okay, so we're gonna be having the first showcase of the Wither God Power. Okay, so it's basically like a combination of locusts together with Undermine as far as how it works. So it's gonna be practically like a different Undermine with some drought effects. Does it really? What does it do to the villages? Location to wither berries, farms and trees rendering terrain sterile for a short period of time. It seems like as it were doing something to right now the trees and whatnot. Or is it some kind of other effect, something else? That's gonna be the wither, right? Okay, teal wither is gonna be going where? Okay, all the way upwards. Yeah, that's something with the wither. Not entirely certain what it's doing to the villages because I can't entirely tell. 1 per second. 1 per second. Oh, they are slower. 2.8 versus 3.8. Okay, so basically slower on the wither. Aha. Huh. That's an interesting kind of like side bonus, I guess you could say. Is it casting on the same player? New lumber camp already built for the efficiency. So therefore I was kind of thinking it's gonna be a bit bigger area. I was definitely thinking it's gonna be like a circle area. This one will be therefore requiring a bit more of a skill in casting that, but it also means that it doesn't completely mess you up as far as, for example, the trees. But as you can tell, it constantly, it basically removes the things from the game. Berries have been destroyed, trees have been completely destroyed, so it's not temporary in a way that the resources will be going back as you were speculating that to be a good idea. So this is gonna be pretty good against Ra, right? With his bonus on berries, for example. It's gonna be interesting there. And in team games, if you'll be having triple Demeters, but that depends of course on the rules of the tournament, but in normal community games, who knows? But yeah, I'm thinking it's quite a bit of a thin stripe. I'm surprised by the special effect on the villages. I wonder if it's only vills or also other units. Because if it would be working also on units, the slowdown, it could be interesting tactical god power for choke points. Or some kind of like hard to maneuver moments in the game. No, so that's gonna be our first therefore idea of the god power. No. Not liking that it's not really temporary, especially would be liking to also see the use case on the farms. On the farms it's gonna be potentially a bit more powerful because the farms tend to be in a long lines, right? So you're gonna be able to destroy about... what is the length? This way it was... so you destroyed maybe 4 farms if you cast it properly. No. Oh, it's not too terrible. Wow, 100 for a recast. Jesus Christ almighty. 100? I mean, like, it's not a bad god power, but man, that seems a bit extreme. 100 for arcade god power. Where are you supposed to be getting as much favor? Is she getting so much favor there for the matter? She's having 9 currently here. We are clicked in the blue, right? Getting some bonus therefore from that. So we are getting 0.11 per second. And so right now here it's 0.12. No, that seems to be very kind of like small bonus therefore. And so right now for yellow game. 11 favor. I wonder if you get in some kind of trickle of a favor. I want to be kind of seeing this, because I was kind of curious if you get like a random trickle, or even if you don't have villager. If you literally need to be having a villager in there. Seems like it's gonna be literally needing a villager. Yeah, it's kinda okay, but still, we have a strange mechanism right there. Oi. Wow. Iolaus is actually a charioteer. 5.6 speed. What is actually having Achilles as a speed? I guess you're gonna be having a comparison in here directly. Orpheus therefore will be having 220, 4.3, that's a fairly standard one. You can say right now Iolaus, so it's gonna be pretty nice addition here. And what was there for his bonus? It's kinda like his specialty. Like nothing, right? Basically the charioteer nom, that he is a chariot. It's basically like now his bonus. But look at that trash with the archers in here by narcotic. Yeah, sorry, 6.5 minutes and he's having quite a dominance already here. Second TC for the Hades. Does he have that for the Achilles somewhere already or not? Yes, there. Okay, so 5.3, so he is even faster therefore. Interesting. What are you picking up? What the hell? This is not how you play a lyre. He's playing it like an electric guitar. Jesus, man. Can you be more lazy, devs? Nah. Yeah, that just like... No, that's stupid. Yeah, they're just gonna go all the way, apparently, in a historicity. No, that's absolutely stupidly ridiculous, sorry. I might be just gonna, might be thinking I'm overly negative, but that's straight stupid, unfortunately. Well, whatever the case, so that's gonna be now some showcase of some of the first things in here. And the Orpheus, he's having some, the aura, right? That makes allied human units more effective against myth units. He's getting what? What? 5 times? 5 times bonus against myth units you get actually from Orpheus. And that's an active aura all the time, and it's not a special. I was actually thinking that's gonna be some special ability for him that you have to be using with the hero. But if it's like a constant aura, wow. That is stupidly broken right there. Holy damn. No, okay, that I wasn't expecting that's gonna be so actually powerful. 5 times against myth units is kinda weird. Sure, the myth units are having pretty high defenses and whatnot, but this is gonna be still cool. That's a pretty damn good bonus. That's basically akin to Atlantean heroes, right? Something along those lines. I don't remember how much of an exact bonus they have, but this is definitely stronger than I thought it's going to be. I'm thinking that should be lower, because that's gonna be practically neutralizing myth units, right? And I'm definitely seeing a bit of a pattern here already in the first game. That could be powerful. We have already mentioned it when we were looking through the tech tree. That maybe he's gonna be playing a bit more, or she's gonna be playing a bit into Hades territory of the game. But, wow. No, okay, hopefully you're gonna be getting into the mythical, because I want to be seeing all the variants. Arcadian Meadow hasn't been used yet. From what I have read on Discord, some little bits and pieces, it's supposedly somehow broken or whatnot. I'm not entirely certain. Now we're gonna be having to wait and see. Hestia is coming through. That will be there for yellow. Okay then. So we're gonna be getting the stealing of the units very soon with the Hestia's Hearth. I'm really looking how that's used. For these in some kind of theories and kind of like how quickly it actually takes the units. But okay. So is there like some kind of specific number that you can see? I probably can't see it. It's really so odd that you really don't get any kind of real information. You get this, so they have kind of like improved on these statistics, and then they basically leave out super important statistics as far as, for example, how exactly much at this point the cows or the herbals are gonna be improving the statistics. It's just like so odd that they have gone barely halfway in the extra information, instead of going all the way. I never kinda understood this kinds of that kind of logic. So either you do all, or you kinda don't even touch it. Like, what's the point of doing it halfway? But well, whatever. I guess I'm not in a corporate. But whatever the case, you're gonna be there for right now already with the first Hestiano. So I'm gonna be looking forward to where the Communal Hearth is gonna be there for use and how it's gonna be working. Because it's supposed to be having some defensive properties or kinda like bonuses, right? On the economy. And have we therefore seen also... No, that reminds me. I haven't entirely seen the Lykaon anywhere yet. And that is the real question. If you can actually see it as an observer. Because all of the players should be having one Lykaon, right? Those who advanced through Pan. Okay, there's the Hamadryad. Why is she having like extra arms from the... That's odd. I was thinking she's just gonna be like a human that halfway looks like a tree. But getting extra hands like a Naga or whatnot, no, whatever, but it's, I guess, some kind of interpretation. But I'm just kind of confused by the Lykaons. I'll be almost at this point wanting to say that we don't get to see it as an observer. Oh, there they are. Nice. Oof. I was kind of worried slightly, but there we go. There they are. 2 players, of course, and 2 villages on a farm. I'm really thinking that 2 villages on a farm is something that's gonna be broken. Thinking that right off the bat. It's gonna be allowing you to be having a lot more compact base. Not only are you gonna be saving on the resources, because you need half the farms, but you also, which is therefore meaning that switch into the farm somewhere in the mid game is gonna be miles easier to do for you. But also the fact that you're gonna be able to have more limited base. You don't have to be as expansive, so therefore easier to protect and keep safe. So evidently Communal Hearth is gonna be used here for the economy. So from the picture, we guessed it correctly in our previous video and talk, that yes, this is gonna be like an empowerment on the wills. You don't see the area. Weird. You kinda see it through the villages, but would be nice to maybe have the area as you have with the monument on Ra. So it kinda reaches up on there. I'll be liking to see if it works on the Lykaons as well. They have 0.84. Normal villager is. Okay, so they are absolutely straight normal villager. On the gathering rate. They have bonus against siege weapons. Wow. Random. We have removed siege weapon bonus from villages and Lykaons keep it. So is that a bug and they forgot about it, or is that real? Because they don't have bonus against towers, so I'm thinking it's gonna be real. But odd. 30 carrying capacity. We have right now 30. That means we have therefore husbandry. We don't have the special upgrade yet. Sorry maybe for not focusing on the fights as much, but I'm just kinda interested in this so far. 0.91. 0.7. That's what, like 12th? No. So that's like 8%. Something like 8%, right? Bonus from the Hestia's Hearth onto the economy, therefore it looks like. That's kinda economical upgrade. Economical upgrade is 10% in Age of Mythology, so it's akin there, somewhere close. That's pretty good if you ask me. I mean, like in Age of Empires 2, where this is coming from, with Georgians you have fortified churches instead of monasteries, and they are increasing economy, I think, also by 10% in a close proximity. This is literally just that, taken from AoE 2. So this is gonna be pretty strong. I've seen people kind of question it that it's weak. They don't know what they are talking about yet. That is pretty good. And people will be finding strategies around it. And what is the second casting of the Hestia's Hearth? 125. No. That's gonna be preventing some super early nonsenses. Because I mean, like, getting favor early is probably not gonna be a strat. Even though in team games, I can definitely imagine funneling all the herdables to the Hestia, to the Hestia 2, to the Demeter, dropping favor, getting maybe like double hearths. Maybe there is something there for team game. In 1v1, I probably do not see it as much, thinking that's not gonna be as good. But maybe something could be for like for a late game, it's gonna be great. I'll be imagining skip mythical units, skip the dryads and whatever nonsense is, and simply go for like 3 communal hearths. And late game, you're just gonna be having 10% better economy. That seems like a legitimately good idea. It's gonna be scaling like 125, 150, right? Yeah, I can see that. I can see that kind of strategy. It's probably gonna be hard to implement in 1v1, but really, seems like a Demeter is gonna be powerful in team games, it feels to me. Wow, that's a lame speedy animation, weirdly. Seems kinda like a bit faster than it should have been. It almost feels to me that she was kinda designed to be kinda like slower, and in the end they had to be quicker in her up. Yeah, the animation is kinda odd, but whatever. Okay, there we have right now Icarus in the fight. Okay, he's actually here, by the way, and it's kind of like a bit odd always with Age of Mythology and the flying units. They seem to be a bit elsewhere than they are. Arcadian Meadow is Excuse me, 4-minute god power. That's this, right? So Gaia Slash. Wait a second, how can you tell Gaia Slash from this? Oh yes, Gaia is gonna be having kind of like the little dots in there with the color from the player. Wow. Okay, that's kinda cheap solution. Was expecting something. I mean, like, how hard is it to be making... Even on the picture, you have all the flowers in there. Just gonna make all the daisies and whatnot, and it's gonna be evident, right? That it's the... That's lazy. I'm complaining today quite a lot, but frankly... No, Freire was much better, that's what I can say here. Much more thought through, rather. And better prepared. But nonetheless... 4-minute god power is kinda wild. And the territory isn't too small. This is kinda what I was mentioning when I was talking about that probably will be important god power for choke points. So you're gonna be creating some choke points somewhere. I don't know where there's gonna be some example. Like for example here, you create some important choke point, and suddenly with this you're gonna be able to completely shut it down. And frankly, how large is it on the size? Okay, this way. So about like half the screen. So if you're gonna be having a TC, you're gonna be having about like this territory without fighting. You can just immediately shut down and some kind of like Athena rush on your TC, for example. That's pretty good. That is pretty damn good. That is a very good tactical god power, especially for 4 minutes. I think the timer is very odd to me. I don't understand why 4 minutes. I'm thinking that's gonna be like of imagination of the devs what actually you can do with the god power. So, well, these people then make the decisions. Interesting, but yeah. Thinking this is a super actually tactical god power. Maybe people are not understanding yet, but will be definitely having its use case. But considering that people are not entirely able to utilize... Oh, okay, the villages right now turn into lycanthropes. Not able to utilize, for example, forest fire. I'm not holding my breath that people will be understanding this god power either. So that's the Lycans. And... I wonder if they were both males. If females, for example, turned into lycanthropes with boobs. Oh, we kinda thinking it probably not, but who knows in the end. What kind of work they have put in. But nonetheless, so far this has been quite an excellent showcase of the bonuses. A bit harder for me is to see... Oh, we have already resignation, that's a shame. I was wanting to say that I'm not entirely seeing the effect of stealing the enemy units, unfortunately. That one is harder to realize and get. You can see, okay, Underworld Passage here at the back. So sorry for not fully focusing on the game, but I was really much more interested in the Demeters and whatnot. She's having... Right now, the Fated Arrows. Yeah, it feels to me that the players have already right now gravitated towards the archers here with Demeter and this nonsense. Really, the Chain Lightning Arrows seem pretty broken for late game to me. Okay. Where are we... That was blue. Well, no... Well, that's... I don't have words how ugly this is. Am I having some graphical bug, or is this that? That's probably something similar to... What is the guy for Japanese? From the water, who is also kind of like similar to this, right? In how he looks. That feels like that's gonna be like a reskin into this. No. Not super impressed graphically, let's call me that. And... Where did they therefore spawn from? I didn't entirely understand where did they spawn from. From like a TC, from temple, or where they fell on the ground? Probably not, right? They kinda spawned somewhere, maybe where you cast it. Can't unfortunately do the thing here like we did in the original game. I don't have the DLC, so I can't even test it, so... Yeah, well, tough luck on me. But nonetheless, what was the duration? About... 4 minutes as well. So therefore you have 4 minutes for such an army. You can say right now Toxotes, Eidolon, 51 hit points, so therefore lower hit points by about a third. What is the normal hit point? Like 70 maybe? 78. Okay, so 78. That will be 27, so no, about like a third less hit points. approximately. 24-15. 24-15, so the defenses are the same. Speed at 4. That's the same. 8-1 ranged attack. 8-1 is the same. 125. Advice is the same, right? 1-1-15. So basically just the hit points are different. Okay, so just the hit points are different for them by third. I guess. But you get there for 100 units. You lose the TC. Again, as I mentioned, I'm thinking this is gonna be a god power that you want to be going for 1 TC faster mythic strategy. Question is if those units, if they are tied to actually having the units being dead. So therefore, if you're gonna be having a 0 death game, you're gonna be therefore getting 0. I'm gonna be assuming that that will be the case. So therefore, you can't be going in 1v1 straight fast mythic because there are not gonna be any kills. Again, in team games, this should be pretty easy. Because in team games, your teammates are gonna be getting kills and you get those Eidolons. At least that's how I'm hoping that it's working. That it's basically across the game and only for the player. Sacrifice your town center and village centers to resurrect fallen military units and myth units. It doesn't say your, so I'm assuming it's all on the game. At which point it will be interesting to see if you're gonna be getting multiple castings of the god power. You can therefore deplete the pool for your opponent. Right? Questions, all kinds of questions about this god power. No, but again, losing the TCs really shouldn't be too much of a problem. You can say now there's a timer where you can't be losing those, replacing those. And is it the same timer as the god power? So if you for 4 minutes, when those are active, you cannot be getting the TC, there is an interesting punishment. Thinking that would be an interesting balance mechanism that could be making sense. If it's gonna be lower time, depends, no. But it's an interesting balancing mechanism because otherwise this feels pretty strong. If you're gonna be casting at the correct moment. And there was even a myth unit, so there's a cavalryman. Again, you are just getting this and you get the same picture as lazy devs. Just lazy. Right? You can't be even bothered to be making a picture of that. Like, I don't know. What can I say to that? Hamadryad, 475. Oof. All right. Okay, now it's evident what you can be doing with this, right? You just can be... you can be purposefully making myth units. Imagine if you're gonna be playing with Amaterasu, and she's gonna be constantly losing the Kamai touches, and you're gonna be casting the Ghost Power. You're just gonna be getting like 30 Kamai touches there. Oh, I don't even want to be thinking about that possibility. So that is something that could work. It will be probably hard to set up in a normal game. But if somebody is going to be putting their minds to it and have a coordinated team, team games could be probably pretty stupid. I would be thinking. No, but that you get actually the myth units is kind of wild. I was thinking they're going to be left out. Because they usually are. Kataskopos Eidolon is kind of funny here though. So at least at minimum you're gonna be getting those, I guess. So you can theoretically... No, I wonder what's the order of business. This god power definitely needs a lot more explanation. Because you can imagine if you're gonna be playing with Atlantean, or no, Vulcan Atlantean or whatnot, then you can potentially make a lot of ballast. Like some useless units. And then he's gonna be raising up 30 oracles. What are you gonna be doing with 30 oracles, right, in the army? So, yeah. I really wonder how that works and what kind of order of business it is. If it's from the start, so therefore based on ID and time kill, or if it will be from the end, you can probably do a lot of stuff if it's gonna be understood how it works. I'm having so many questions for how this god power works. And they are very important for how to use it or abuse it. But the myth units are wild. I'm feeling some strategy around those there. It's gonna be very dangerous therefore to play with Norse, because they tend to be having a lot of myth units. So there's a pretty good chance you're gonna be getting plenty of them. So imagine Demeter, and you're gonna be playing with some, I don't know, doesn't matter, some kind of Norse simply. And he's gonna be playing plenty of myths, and you're gonna be then raising most of the myths into the army here. Liking that option for abuse. No, and we have gotten into the mythic, but we probably haven't gotten into the hero, right? Into Midas, and getting to turn somebody into gold. That's something I'm still kind of waiting for to see. What kind of gold might actually spawn from it. We have myth units, mythical age, sorry, once, twice. Blue and yellow. Okay, so on the left side maybe you're gonna be having something. Now Iolaus is weird as a hero to me, slightly. Wolfos are kinda curious. Would be liking to see. There are so many things that actually need explanation. Can we see some turning of the units somewhere? Unfortunately, I can see that there's gonna be another Lykaon moving forward. I kinda wonder if you want to be using the Lykaons as basically forward building villagers. Like you're gonna be stealing some TC forward, and then they're gonna be turning. Again, I'll be also loving to absolutely see if... Ah, yeah, there we go. Oh, that's what I wanted to see. I'm happy. And it actually is even visible for us this way, but it will be a bit confusing because you need to be clicked into player. This is gonna be making spectating hell, unfortunately, with Demeter, because you're not gonna be seeing which villages are the Lykaons and which not. But nonetheless, it's kind of how we expect it between the players now, that the player himself is gonna be seeing the tail, and the opponent, of course, doesn't, logically. I'll be expecting that even the female, if it's gonna be turned into Lykaon, she's gonna be looking differently. She's probably have two boys here. I just don't have the female, unfortunately. No, funny stuff. What is this? Oh, that's the Dryad. That's Hamadryad actually turned into the tree here. And why is the green next to her? Wait, what? Wait, what? Why is it actually next to the tree? So this is the Dryad, and that's where she's gonna be kind of like showing up when she turns? Or is that like the trap that she has? Piercing root snare passive. Oh, that's gonna be that, right? That's gonna be the root snare. And if somebody moves into that like a spider lair, then it's gonna be actually 48 divine damage. 16 area. Wait, what? 180 pierce damage. Okay, I'll be loving to see that in action. Those statistics are kind of wild. Six range. Okay, I don't understand this. Is that supposed to be some kind of there for special attack or what? Well, not enough information for this one. Bit weird. We'll be needing some more information about it still. No, and well, therefore, what is it right now? 0.1, 0.11. So therefore you get like 10% at this point extra on the gathering rate. It's kind of nice with all the cows. It's kind of interesting how when the cows are fattened up, you almost don't see the glow of them. Oh, wait a second, this one is actually having from the hearth the 10%. It works also on favor gathering. Ooh, that's an interesting bonus. That's kind of, no, that's interesting for the Greek, because you have empowerment, of course, for the monuments with Egyptian, but there you have a limited amount of monuments. So therefore, it's kind of limited how much of a bonus you get. Whereas with Greeks, it's evidently not. And a huge question I have, does Hestia's Hearth bonus apply to an ally? Because imagine the combination of Hestia's Hearth onto Zeus and Favor. Then you just have absolutely something stupid. And, well, starting on the R letter. Like, completely utterly. That don't even want to imagine that in team game. Because Zeus is already pretty easy with the Favor. And if you'll be getting 10% extra on top of it, potentially even more Hearths. I mean, like, imagine double Hestias, for example, and a Zeus. Zeus fast mythic, you're gonna be bonusing him with the Favor. man, maybe we could be having Colossus Underworld Passage Rush back on the game and on the menu. With that kind of combo. Ah, well, there could be all kinds of thoughts and things going on here. You can say now 0.7. Alright, so we have 0.07. And here we have, without the Hestia's Heart, 0.1. So we get, wow, 50% almost increase. That's pretty large increase. 50%. And we have how many animals here? I'm not entirely certain which ones are actually active. Only the ones next to it, right? So therefore, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but 9. But 9 animals. So basically like 5% increase per animal, maybe it could be. Approximately. Maybe like that, right? Now I have 0.7, 0.11, and if you will be having 5% per animal, I'm thinking it could be probably working somewhat. Maybe 5% per animal. Seems kind of high possibly, but in the end, the gathering rate is pretty low, so you can afford to be having a high number. So something along those lines I'll be guessing. It could be, because that would be 45%. So 45% from 7 is going to be some 3 something plus. So if I'm not seeing some kind of animal, for example, here, then yeah, I have right now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe something more than 5% probably. And additive. And stacking probably infinitely. Maybe there's gonna be some limit, but it's not posted anywhere. And again, if you're gonna be imagining something like steps, for example, there you have about, you can be having like 15 even animals, for example, even 20. If everything goes well. So you can be practically maybe even doubling your favor gathering rate. Phew. Not bad. Not bad at all. There probably isn't like how much is the bonus for the Zeus here. I don't remember off the top of my head. 20% faster. No. So he's getting 20% faster. So it's basically as if you were having theoretically some 4 or 5 cows there. So with Hestia, Demeter, you get way higher than Zeus' bonus. And Zeus' bonus is already pretty good. No. Okay then. Okay, so what we haven't seen properly is therefore Midas. And stealing of the units. We haven't seen properly yet from the Hestia's Heart how it works. Some Hestia increases nearby village gather rate, converts enemy units. No, just those two probably. The others we can already see how they work. Wither is a bit kind of odd. The recast value is kind of strange, but that's gonna be from because whoever was testing it already recognized what we recognized that it could be pretty broken. That's gonna be hard to properly learn how to use it, but still might be pretty powerful because it's deleting forever. No, and the Arcadian Meadow, it's gonna be, I think, in very good tactical god power, in my opinion. That players maybe haven't understood fully yet. But again, the ability to shut down attack on your TC and on your base. And I've already heard about the combination with, for example, with Pestilence. Maybe there could be some interesting things going on with it. You saw the Hearth convert 2 siege towers pretty quickly. And yeah, that's also something that I've heard, that it converts anything. Even myth units. That seems, again, basically the ability to convert even myth units and siege and whatnot. That's also a bit wild in the respects of Age of Mythology and how normal things work. It is kind of god power, so you could be saying like Traitor is also stealing whatever it wants. But for something automatic like this, you kind of toying with fire slightly with these kinds of things. No, but well, interesting to be there for seeing these things in action at least and having some kind of idea. Okay, as also right now, Chromic Alpha Lykaon, he actually therefore could be turning on site, or kind of site on at will. Melee attack, what the hell? 26, 2 pierce damage, 2 crush, 2 divine. Is there something that Lykaon doesn't have? Bonus against cavalry. Multiplier myth units 2 times. Heroes, of course, not. What are these random statistics? Like, they just wanted to be giving him everything. That's so weird. Okay, we're gonna be comparing with the normal Lykaon. Normal one is at 28 melee. Bonus against cavalry as well there. That bonus against I was just for a moment right now not sure why they are having bonus against cavalry. Now it hit me, because it is really supposed to be defense against raiding. Oh, yeah. That's gonna be just gonna fit in the whole idea. That they are doing this for the casual players. Because, of course, they absolutely hate rushes and raiding. So therefore they're gonna be getting a unit that can effectively shut down raiding. Plus, Demeter is having that ability for the healing. So practically shutting down the raids even through that. That third of the hit points per returning the resources into the storehouse. That's also something I haven't seen, because I'm not sure if somebody's having it upgraded or was having it upgraded. Seems like it may be not here. So, well, there, for example, he was having the Divine Labor, but unfortunately couldn't entirely get that. And oh, it works on the Lykaons. I'm not liking this at all. I'm thinking that they shouldn't have been having that. But at the same time, that might be because if you would be looking at the villager, you would be able to tell. Oh, by the way, if you look at what are we right now clicked into? Yellow. No, you are probably gonna be able. I'm not entirely able to see it now, but if you click onto enemy villager, do you see the gathering right there of his? I'm not certain right now if you do or not. I'm gonna be having to look in another game. But theoretically, if you be therefore clicking the Lykaon, you'll be seeing that he's having different stats than the villagers. So maybe that could have been like a giveaway in there. No, but you already do have the difference, right? If you're gonna be clicking into blue. Huh. So they do count with that. Because you can see right now the villager is normal. So you have 4 against towers. So they are camouflaged in the game. Oh, this is so dangerous from programming point of view. This is so dangerous because this could be hiding. This could possibly spawn some mistakes and bugs in the game. Because you're just gonna be seeing something in testing and you're not gonna be seeing it properly and how it should be. No. Hopefully they haven't created for themselves a bit of a problem here with this. But nonetheless, at least nice that they thought of it. Seven and a half. Otherwise, though, the statistics are, of course, gonna be the same. 69 hit points and everything. No, again, can't say I'm liking this too much. That is working on the Lykaons. That's, I think, making them a lot better. However, if you have it on Lykaons, you don't have it on those boys. At least. Because imagine if they had the healing, right? I wonder if maybe one day there's gonna be a bug where somehow it's gonna be allowed for them as well, and they're gonna be able to heal by going somewhere to storehouse or whatever. But it depends how that works exactly, because I wonder if you have to be having some resources for the healing to activate, or if you basically can just gonna go into TC or Granary, right click to it, and it's gonna be insta healing you. I don't know, but I'm hoping you have to be having some resources. And I wonder if that, no, if maybe there's gonna be some trick, for example, with Temple. I wonder how that works. I legitimately wonder how that works, actually. Because you have better carrying capacity, drop off healing. Because Temple theoretically is a drop-off place as well. Because if you build a temple with villages, they're gonna be dropping off resources. So it might be having that tag. Somehow, in a certain way. So I wonder if maybe favor gathering villages are practically immortal. It'd be kind of funny if they were. Something to be seen. Oh well, so many questions right now with this. But that's probably right now the thoughts I have about this so far. So let's have a look onto maybe some kind of further little things here, and then probably one more game, and it's gonna be it for today. But happy to be catching this at least and seeing some ideas about the Demeter. Not all of them, but plenty. Can say it now, quite nice play here for Demeter main. Who knows who it is? Definitely some Smurf, I guess we can say. Can see right now just the first farming upgrade here for the Hades and for Teal. It's gonna be having all three. By the way, is Communal Hearth something that can be converted by the enemy? Or is it basically just yours? It's seemingly having hit points, so it probably can be destroyed, right? I'll be thinking. No, considering the statistics in here, I guess it can be probably destroying. So you're gonna be wanting to be probably careful where to cast it and where to use it appropriately. Blue villages, second levels as well, but we weren't having really too many myth units at this point, or myth ages rather. You can see right now also missing irrigation. Donkey caravans. Also, can you utilize Hestia's Hearth as an empowerment for trade? Or rather, probably so. I'll be thinking so. But the question is, where does it have to be? Where do you have to be having the Hestia's Hearth? Does it need to be next to where he picks up the gold, or where he hands off the gold? I think that's gonna be a use case, because it's practically half the empowerment. If it's like the 10%, or somewhat like 8% or whatnot, it's still pretty useful for trade. That's damn nice. So that's a use case for Hestia's Hearth, certainly. Because you can say right now this is within range. They are not right now having anything on them. So is it working? Is it not? I don't know. Almost looks like it. Maybe they're gonna be left out of it. Increases nearby village gather rate. So almost looks like it possibly therefore trade units are not involved. Should be, I think, a bit of a shame because it's an interesting use case. Oh, okay. Actually, masons. Yeah, so it's gonna be a normal building that's gonna be there for destroyable. But looks like it maybe therefore the trade is unfortunately not gonna be utilized for that. The more I'm thinking about it, and the fact that it's not even glowing them up. Could have been fun. Would have been interesting use case. Maybe it's gonna be coming somewhere down the line, who knows. But that's always what you need to be theory crafting all these options. Handax and plow, unfortunately, they're quite a bit insufficient here for Black Velvet. So for the armies, do we have some interesting upgrades in here? Just the Fated Arrows. Evidently, it's also for Peltasts. Not like Peltasts needed to be having more help, frankly. It would be probably nice to be having only on archers. I mean, like Peltasts already are a bit of a problematic unit, and now getting extra damage. Maybe something making them even more broken, possibly. Okay, have an attacking upgrade for purple, because I don't see any kind of other army here. Green units are bronzed. No, and who else? Steel, for example, is gonna be here in the middle. Heavy Toxotai, it's gonna be all copper. And having now both the combination of Angel's Bow of Horror and Fated Arrows does have its potential, in my opinion. Heavy Toxotai has here double copper. No, and I guess some kind of red army we haven't seen. As a hoplite. Also entirely too deep. What the hell on the resources? The resources are a bit extreme. Maybe the players were kind of testing the goddesses themselves at least a bit. Can see everybody's floating 10,000 foot is a bit extreme right now for it. Maybe the efficiency on the farming, maybe. Yeah, everybody floating something stupid here. 131 favor. Not making all that many myth units, unfortunately, just the villages. Which are gonna be... This is actually something that could be potentially interesting for the boom. Because, I mean, like the Lycans are, of course, kind of expensive on the favor, but theoretically there could be some kind of synergy where you're gonna be able to get them not entirely as much as Guafus for the Chinese, but probably they could be interesting help for your economy. Besides the TC, that you're gonna be maybe creating like a TC second TC, and you're gonna be funneling villagers into favor, having the cows in there or whatever, the hair doubles, to increase the favor gathering. Seems like a complicated build order, but maybe somebody's gonna be able to toy with it sufficiently to make it work. So let's have a look into post-game, and then, well, one more game we are gonna be discovering. So for the idle villages, no. Nothing entirely... No, for yellow, I guess. Could say that yellow is having some higher idols than others. Otherwise, some thinner spikes, for example, for... Desiree? I am not entirely certain how to pronounce his nickname. That's gonna be probably some kind of trick in there. Is it Dice Array? Or Dice Irray? Ire? No, sorry for mangling the nickname there. But otherwise, it doesn't seem too bad on the Iolaus in general. But they were mostly just gonna play in with the god. And then having some bigger fights with the armies. You can see it now, extra TCs. You can see the jump on the villages. Yeah, well. I wonder how it actually works for the statistics. If you're gonna be having basically ups and downs when they turned into wills, or they turned into Lycans, or if they're gonna be like forever counting in here. Because at this point you have what? 108? No, we just 108 for yellow. Otherwise he has 100. Okay. 80 for military, sure. But theoretically those guys should be therefore going over the limit. And they have 3 population limits, so they can't like full. Build limit 101 out of 100. So with them you obviously will be going above. It's also kind of a bit of an extra question in there to it too. No. Interesting thoughts on top of all of this. Of course you can say it now, Teal wasn't entirely all that interested, but well, he was interested in the fighting in there rather than actually the villages. So on the military units, we're gonna be seeing a bit of a different story with Mr. Narcotic. And you can see, yeah, that's gonna be something like we have had Ragnarok in the original game that was made completely useless in Retold, and now we're gonna be probably having this instead of it. Can't be leaving these good powers out too much, can we? Let's say another increase from red here, from a complete, almost disaster. But for the economies, at the start, probably gonna be very little difference. Oh, there are some deviations, I guess, but this is pretty similar. Just apparently yellow being the most efficient, I guess. But he's just gonna focus the economy, as you can tell. By 11 minutes, he was leading by some 2,000 resources, almost 1,900 in here. What is the total? 36. It's quite a lot. That is actually kind of a lot here. So, some kind of boomy build order, I guess, maybe for the Demeter main here. Some inspiration into how to use the Hestia's Hearth and stuff. It's gonna be the last one, and then with all of them already in, you can see having some 8,100 above the second best. No wonder, especially compared with the last one that he was even fighting against. 19,400, so practically half the economy. More than half the economy. So for the further stats, probably not gonna be anything too super surprising. It wasn't too much of a super battly game. You can say that even on the unit skill. Just yellow getting most of the destruction out of purple. Fortunately, Black Velvet wasn't having too much of a fun here. But the largest army at 141 is really something, just basically getting like 100 soldiers in there. But yeah, 4 minutes, even if it's timed. 4 minutes is a lot in Age of Mythology. Frankly, that's gonna be somewhat of a timer for classic Ragnarok. Usually Ragnarok lasted even less if you will be using it actively from the start. 10:37 for Heroic Age, 17 Mythic. Not much, I guess, to be seen here. You can see it now some 3-minute advances. You can be getting some Greek advances here, classic ones. And not much in here, I guess. But Iolaus with that speed, that 5.6 speed, that's pretty high. It's pretty nice. But it's gonna be dangerous Radiant unit. And the bonus from Orpheus is seeming wild to me against the myth units. I'm thinking that's gonna have to be tuned down somewhere once players learn to use it. GG. Okay, so that's therefore, that was a bit of a longer talk than I was thinking I'm gonna be having about it, but that's gonna be therefore making it into a video on YouTube. I'm gonna be connecting the Tech Tree at the start and this game, because this was exactly what I was looking for in some maybe testing use cases. And now let's therefore discover the last one for today. So who are we gonna be locking up on? Hey, double RNRs. Punkstar versus Boris. No, Punkstar is gonna be probably still streaming, right? So probably not much of a reason to double it as much. Maybe we could be doing the 2v2 with RNRs. So far I'm not otherwise seen anything super curious in here. Okay. Don't want to be right now spending my youth here on this. So let's do another team game. And we get in the Demeter. Good. Well, it's gonna be a Greek battle. Shame we don't have Hades to be having all four of them. Okay, so let's get into the last 2v2 and last game for today. So we're gonna be having a marsh as a map. And the Joker AOM is gonna be playing with Poseidon. Seems like the gold mine in the front will be in a nice spot, protected by the grove in front of it. Kinda classic marsh. As classic as you can get. And his teammate is gonna be Singoff, and he's gonna be playing with Zeus. So we'll be expecting that the Poseidon classic 330 advances probably and early rush. For the Zeus, bit of a question if he wants to be joining on that fun or getting second TC and joining a bit later when the Poseidon softens the opponents up, possibly. No one can see the gold mine. Unfortunately not as well protected. We'll be having the storehouse so that he can also work on the forest in there. And on the other side, we are gonna be therefore playing with RNR Ronan. Raid and Rape is the name of the clan from already years and years back in the original game. So that's gonna be the Demeter. You can say it now, save gold mine therefore. And is there gonna be some kind of rush upon the enemy? Apparently not too much. Kind of just looking at this specific shape of the forest. And if you're gonna be casting a Wither on this, then basically this is all gonna disappear. If you cast it well, that's all gone practically. So in specific situations like this, it's gonna be a super powerful god power. But I do wonder now if you want to be gonna rushing the opponent or not therefore for it. I guess it's gonna be depending on the matchups and build orders that you're gonna be expecting. So thinking a bit of a theory crafting for the players needed. Hopefully in the tournament players are gonna be exactly showing those use cases. So what is also gonna be interesting upon that maybe it's gonna be utilized better than Forest Fire for getting into enemy bases, by the way. Because you're gonna be able to practically eliminate kind of like a forest protection, forest wall. So it might be legitimately like a better Forest Fire, or kind of this way. Forest Fire is pretty good, but players suck at using it. So maybe this is gonna be a bit more evident use case for it, possibly. No, and the teammate, that's gonna be RNR Retold, and he's playing with Posse 2. Gonna be having a forward gold mine as opposed to the others. A bit maybe annoying, but again, Stable, how's this? How the stable? I guess he's gonna be able to cover it quite a bit fine anyway, and still. So don't entirely expect any kind of a real challenge and a problem for him. So we are where? At about 2.5 minutes, so we should be theoretically starting getting the next ages, as apparently Demeter already is going through. And Gather in Favor, quite of course. And we have therefore how much? 0.12 already. Why was it only 0.11 therefore in that case for the others? Oh, maybe that's gonna be because of the amount of villages. Because I'm thinking they are still keeping with that diminishing returns, right? The more villages you have, the less kind of like favor you get. That was already in the original game as well, and I'm thinking it's in Retold too. So yes, there's gonna be some kind of sweet spot for how many villages you want to be having for the favor gathering together with the animals, but nonetheless 0.12. With all the piggies. Is there somebody else gathering favor currently? There we go. 1.1. 0.12 therefore. So I get in what? 20% extra from 7 piggies. So like 3% per piggy. I wonder if it also somehow is influenced by the amount of food that you have on the pig. That'd be kind of funny if it were. Something definitely that needs testing. Well, I don't have the DLC, so I'm not gonna be probably able to test it. I'm not sure if you can do anything in editor, or if it's only locked from you, because you have the content, but I'm not sure if you can maybe use it in editor. That'd be something to test, possibly. Okay, so the first defense, pretty easy right now for Ronan. So is he gonna be going for like a defensive build overall, or what is he right now planning exactly? Because so far, if you're gonna be switching into his point of view, resources are not looking like a TC. So I have no idea what's going on currently. All the way to the right side, you can see Poseidon also just gonna camp in. Bottom we have stables, double. So this Poseidon is normal. Zeus here is not entirely doing anything too much. Doesn't seem to be having anything specific in here. He's having so far relic for blue crystal shard. Green is Kuidrum, carrying home currently System of Bust, very nice. He's having plenty of relics right now next to him. Harmonia's necklace, also superb. And the last one, Arrows of Heracles, also pretty nice. No idea where the bolt was, but yeah, who cares, kind of. Because nothing is going on across the map, so could have been anything. And Heracles, did he already say hi to Iolaus? His good friend. Right now turning apparently enemy. It's gonna be only Orpheus, but that is Iolaus. It'd be kind of fun if they had some kind of interaction. Really, just like even something stupid, like some kind of little note and soundbite, as in Hearthstone, where certain people meet or certain characters meet. They're just gonna be having special greetings and stuff. Oh well, so many things you can do with game, especially with game like this. Oh, and you can see right now the speed 5.5, 5.6. It's a dangerously high speed here. I'm thinking with the charioteer. And having the star is... Yeah, I was just gonna focus on the last game, and I'm not really liking how he's playing it as an electric guitar. But also kind of like the priest attack is... Oh. We can't be expecting too much, but we may be expecting also something a bit more special. Maybe some kind of like a note, for example, flying. Like what you see, for example, in RPGs when a bard is playing his song or whatnot. Be expecting maybe at least that kind of level of effort to go in. Overall, it really feels like it's a super low effort, the Demeter, unfortunately. So I'm at least hoping that the Aztecs are gonna be like a standard level, and that it's not like a symptom of things to come. It's gonna be also similarly underwhelming. That would be sad. I can just kinda imagine that they are fully focusing on the Age of Empires 2 DLC more than anything else. But that of course doesn't mean that, well, they need to be releasing this. But again, I was just like, absolutely, I'm confused by the fact. I was really convinced that they're gonna be selling this as a standby DLC as well. That after the pre-sales are gonna be ending and the release is gonna be in, you're gonna be able to buy the DLCs, the 3 of the 4, because one was like automatic exclusive into the pass. I was expecting you're gonna be able to buy them separately. And so far that's not the case. So, like what? Is that gonna be coming later when all 4 are gonna be out? It's very odd because also one of the DLCs is basically like really listed exclusive, but so far it looks like that all 4 are exclusive to the pass. So what's up with that? Strange. Strange to say the least, the communication about that. But yeah, maybe it's gonna be just like basically the deluxe release of the game. So basically Demeter is exclusive and not ever to be getting anywhere else, same as Freyr. And then you're gonna be having the Aztecs as a DLC on its own. I guess maybe that's how they thought of it, but they just don't communicate it clearly at all then. But whatever. Not like it bothers me too much, but just a weird practice and marketing. And gonna be already having the special ability on the, you can see on them, giving right now the extra damage to the units. So you are supposed to be 3 per hit. No, for something like the hero it's gonna be pretty useless, but it's gonna be an ability or ability upgrade that is most useful here in the early stages, where there are still a few units. So therefore each of the units are gonna be and is gonna be doing a lot of hits and will be making a lot of hits in there. In the late game, when you're gonna be having huge armies, it's pretty much irrelevant. So yeah, it's probably something that maybe could be cheaper on the favor, to be honest. I misclick in here right now by Singoff. So I'm thinking it should be cheaper on the favor, because it's having very limited use case and it's not that powerful. You don't want to be doing it too powerful, making it too powerful. I'm thinking of the 3 damage. Maybe you can imagine like up to 5, but whatever. It has very small area and window of opportunity for it. So probably will be getting cheapened down the line, I would be expecting. Doesn't seem even too much worth it to even do it currently. Might be able to handle the early stages well if you play decently. But practically what it means, that if you, that basically allows you to be playing a bit more defensively at the start, basically delaying the army. You're just gonna be placing armies into your tactical spaces, and with that upgrade, it's gonna be really hard to get to your villages. So you can forego army for a lot later. Or a lot, for later simply. You need to be thinking about it in those kinds of levels. Is the bonus, by the way, the same for all types of units? Toxotai 5. There's some hoplite, yeah. Also 5, okay. So all the units are times 5. Again, thinking is broken. I'm thinking this is a broken aura effect. Don't like it at all. It's gonna be shutting down practically like an early Norse myth spam. We can be thinking that it's strong, but I'm thinking that currently it's kind of manageable. That the Norse, since their decrease on the economy, have been in a decentish spot. It's gonna be certainly shutting down Kronos. Like, absolutely. And any kind of Atlantean spam. So, you don't even have to be attempting that, in my opinion. Any kind of crash. But yes, even otherwise, I think it's gonna be having some effects. It's gonna be also very interesting for late game myth spam, for example. Yeah, if you get somewhere into Heroic Age and you're gonna be having, I don't know, some 5 giants or 6 from the North typically, or even, for example, against Dryads with Hesperid trees from Atlanteans. You can be having plenty of them in one fight. Then if you're gonna be able to keep the hero alive for at least a moment, you are gonna be able to shred them pretty quickly. 5 times is a pretty stupidly high bonus for such an effect. And considering, I'm not entirely certain how many hit points the Orpheus is gonna be having in late game, but they do scale up the heroes. So there's a chance he's gonna be a bit harder to single out from the units. I also do wonder how the aura works. I'm definitely hoping the aura doesn't work if he's garrisoned, for example, in a tower, or would be garrisoned in, I don't know, some kind of, not whatever else. Seriously hoping the aura goes away at that point, because there have been some cases in the history of Age of Empires 2 specifically, where the aura worked with units being hidden in towers. It wasn't intended, it was a bug, but it did happen. So that's why I'll be kind of cautious about it. There's a certain history. Oh, kind of this way back. Question if it was a bug, but it was definitely determined stupidly OP, so it was removed. So, yeah. Now comes, so far, somewhat of a semi-active game. Demeter is just kinda camping in her base, practically, not doing anything at all. Have we used some good power? We haven't. He hasn't actually even used the Communal Hearth. Should be getting himself some bonuses here and there. And you can see right now the decrease in interest, right? You're having only 1.0.1, so the more villages you have there, then the singular and individual commitment, what they actually add in there is lowered. And now we have got an extra goats in here, and we have increased by 10% extra. Nice. Okay, economically it's gonna be the first level for yellow game. Perplos. He's gonna be right now the same kind of, without the farming, he doesn't need it yet. And for the red player, he's definitely new storehouses in here. He is gonna be same level, and Grenos, he's gonna be having everything in place. Plus the Harmonious necklace and System of Bust. He's gonna be in pretty good shape at this point with all the upgrades. But I guess since he hasn't cast the Hestia's Hearth, he probably will be having some different use case that he wants to be playing it upon. Instead of improving his economy, he's gonna maybe having some aggressive mind, or the aggressive plan for it in mind, not sure. Theoretically could be. Okay, so did the Arcadian Meadow cast... Was it cast there? It was probably cast here, right? Because why would he be otherwise running away? Oh, somebody being smart here with transport, liking that. Liking that indeed. Yeah, that has to be where it was cast and you can't see it. Yeah, that's something I've also noticed, people saying that it's bugged, that sometimes it doesn't show. Yeah, it probably is... Wait, what? But it's already right now not showing here, or do we need to be clicking into green? No, wait. Right now I'm legitimately confused. Why is it not showing here? When he was casting recently, it's supposed to be lasting 4 minutes. Am I missing something? Was it counterspelled, or or did the Hestia's Hearth somehow like delete it? Wait, what? Questions. No answers inside. That had to be cast here though. Can I be looking at the recorded game a bit after? How it was done and what happened here. Getting even the Hamadryad in there. And slinging going on with some resources into Retold. Alright. Gonna be there for right now. Probably trying the sling strategy in here. But well, 10% better economy of course. Or how much? 123 on the gold. With, I can say now, shaft mine. The maximum that he can be having. We have shaft mine here. How much is he gathering? 111. 123, so you're getting 0.12. So you are getting, no, approximately some 10% extra. Yeah, it's gonna be somewhere there, no? So basically like as if you were having query. Pretty nice. Pretty neat indeed, especially since you don't have to be paying for that. I'm loving this. It's kinda odd that he actually didn't try to counter-attack. I wonder if it maybe is a bug that isn't showing here, but in effect it is still in the game and therefore that's why he didn't attack there. Oh, but it's really... can't entirely see. Aha, Hephaestus is gonna be coming up. Yeah, we're not gonna be getting Persephone. Aw. I was kinda hoping for maybe a bit more of a fun there, but maybe determining that we don't have enough deaths yet, which is probably the case. We had some fights, but I would be surprised if he lost like maybe 50 units across the game so far. Patiently waiting for the engagement here, both of these boys. No further upgrades from Armory. Joker, that's a different story. And by the way, we are having what? Aphrodite for purple. Zeus is having Underworld Passage. And the Poseidon, unfortunately, in red, is not in the next age yet. However, he's gonna be having Poseidon. Resources, damn good. Should be there for getting immediate... No, why are you there for engaging now? You're gonna be in the heroic age in a moment. You're gonna be getting Thracian horses. Why the hell would you be wanting to fight now? You just don't. I mean, like, sure, it's a cool fight. You're still gonna be having some kind of victory in here. But it could be about 2 million times better. Now you're gonna be committing into a fight next to TC. So it's gonna be getting progressively worse for you. You can see now he's getting the Thracian horses, heavy cavalry. Just don't be impatient. You're gonna be waiting, what, minute and a half when you get all the upgrades? And then you will be destroying the opponent because he doesn't have Dionysus. So what he'll be doing there? No, dying. That's what he'll be doing against the Thracian horses. No, and now he is in trouble. No, trouble. Not like a huge ones, because obviously both armies have been eliminated and annihilated. However, Singov is gonna be right now trying to visit Ronan from the back. Okay, that was King Midas. Was it? No, that was Iolaus. Because we are not in the Mythic yet. Alright, so that's gonna be a proper ceasefire. That's right now the Mythic. And obviously, no Persephone, so no help with Uncease practically. No. Let's... Can I say that this is not an optimistic army for me that Ronan has? Nice to be right now having, of course, the bonuses against the myth units, frankly. Yeah, the Manticores are gonna be suffering for that really. If you could be right now focusing it properly, that would be also nice, but it doesn't seem to be happening for the moment and so far. But all the horses are gonna be dead again, and seems like that everybody else is gonna be kinda dead again as well. And what is he... What is he throwing in there? He's just like throwing kicking some rocks or whatnot. Glowing rocks, that's a weird attack. Now it seems like he's maybe supposed to be throwing something based on the movement of the character. But realistically, it's coming somewhere from his legs. The projectile, so it's a bit odd. But nonetheless, it's probably the smallest thing in here. Oh, but obviously somewhat of an expected result at this point. Ronan, unfortunately, not gonna be in too much of a fun state, as his upgrades are not just limited basis, as he wanted to be getting into the special archers but couldn't. They can say now double copper and bronze on the other side. Not entirely too super deep, but not too terrible either. However, that's gonna be the next fight, and now it seems like that right now Purple is much better prepared with the army. Doesn't seem like that Retold was able to replace it as quickly as he needed to. We're gonna be looking at the population limits, and we do have about 100 pop limit for Purple. Red is gonna be at just 40 on the military. So we can definitely see where this is gonna be heading, or where this already is, not only heading. So that's gonna be quite a bit clearer result. No end. At least we have seen some kind of further little things on the left side with the Demeter. But otherwise, bit of experimentation I'm thinking for Ronan too. Yeah, we're probably hoping that maybe there's gonna be some sling strategy into Retold with good economy for Ronan, but that needs to be a bit honed in. He was casting the Hearth quite a bit late. I wonder what really happened with the Arcadian Meadow. I'm gonna be looking at the recorded game for that again, because it was very strange what was going on there. And I want to be seeing it. But that's gonna be there for the game for today. And, well, the upgrades we have seen just a moment ago, so not much of a reason to be looking at that again. You can see Purple still copper and something red. There's a heavy hippie. Gonna be having all kinds of mythical upgrades, even Bacchanalia, but it doesn't have anything from the armory. Again, it was a huge mistake, the attack in here. I think maybe they were getting impatient because maybe Ronan was feeling that Singov is gonna be ready to destroy him and he wasn't in a good shape, so maybe. But still, that doesn't mean you have to be rushing the attack. You are just gonna be minute and a half or something away from getting super upgrades that are gonna be practically ensuring victory against Joker's army. and you're just gonna push this way. What's the sense in that? No, hopefully next time better. Can say it now, economically second levels. First level and a whole irrigation here for purple. That could have been better. Can say it now, second levels and farming. We also didn't get to use Wither in any kind of way. That's also a bit of a shame. And the Veligeros, you can say it now, second levels. Ah, that was actually King Midas. But we didn't get him to turn anybody into gold mine, unfortunately. Well, I guess maybe somewhat next time. Can I be hopefully able to see that? Because I would be kind of liking to see how much gold you even get from that one. And how it specifically works. Because I can just kind of imagine you could be theoretically blocking certain pathfinding and ways. So if it works like Fafnir, or I don't know. I have no idea. I have to be yet to see it. Yet to see it. Okay, so let's go into some resources at the end. Can say it now, Red was floating in a lot more than he needed, evidently. So maybe the slinging wasn't too much needed into him, and the Demeter could have been using it for herself. Plenty resources for yellow, but he was doing well. And you can see that even green apparently wasn't missing the resources too much. Just, I guess the timing for using them was a bit off. So what do we have in the statistics? So for the idle villages, that's kind of common for all of them, it feels like. Probably most I'm seeing here yellow. But looks like it. No, green is not entirely too often here. Says right now the late game. Yellow definitely seems to be a bit outstanding on the idols. The others here and there, kind of. Civilianos, no, that's gonna be of course evident. He was getting the extra TCs as opposed to the others. Bit of an interesting bump for green. I guess it's gonna be there for... This has to be always like getting the Lycans, right? That's a very sus bump, otherwise that has to be Lycan simply made for him. Military is going to be there for in the end. Somewhat similar between the teams. Until late game where Ranald wasn't really doing too bad on the army, right? He really wasn't. No, and you can see right now this. He was having such an advantage above purple and just completely threw it away. What a shame. No, and the resources. Well, of course, undisturbed boom practically by forcing off. Didn't entirely have anything to bother with and be afraid of. So you're gonna be having some interesting distribution here. 400 resources difference between Ronan and Singov exactly. On 12 minutes, it's gonna be even, some 3,000. 3,200 already, which is not usually more than is game losing this kind of situation. Very interesting, the mythical age at this point that is being so low down here for Singov, like some kind of bug. Just getting the mythical age right at the end of the game. What is it? 2100. And we are ending 2101. Ah, okay. So it's gonna be some kind of interesting feature that it doesn't and didn't promote yet into like the proper place on the graph. No, because I mean, like, you can look at that, right? The graph is kind of ending at 20, 50 something. I can click maybe like 53, 50, what is it? I don't know, I can't even click properly in here. And you can see it's 57, so yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be some artifact from that is actually like beyond the range of the graph in here. What was it at the end? The difference after all. And all of them are involved. Against the green, it's gonna be some 18,500 now. Again, huge difference. Easy game apparently here for Singov. Village peak as well. Now let's have a look, I guess, at the recorded game. Classic 330. You're gonna be able to do it with any kind of Greek. I mean, like the early economy is the same. So whatever you can be doing with the others, you can definitely with Demeter. So I guess GG. And let's have a look at the record, because I want to be seeing what happened with the Arcadian Meadow at about 15 minutes of it. That was somewhat strange.
Πρόσταγμα. Πρόσταγμα. Πρόσταγμα.
That's a female. Oh yeah, that's a female. She's kind of looking like a male from behind there a bit. Okay, so that was the bolt upon the hero. Did he happen actually to be losing the Lykaon villager? I guess he lost the Lykaon villager. No, there she is. Okay. I was a bit worried about that. I was also interested in how they basically turn into the soldiers, into the Lycans. If maybe they will be instantly attacked, that they will be counter-attacking on their own. But evidently they... No, evidently. They don't seem to be having that kind of logic.
Πρόσταγμα.
You know, the villagers. So he's gonna go... He's trying to go for somewhat like a Kuafus or Theft of Fire variant, kind of into the hero citizens. That's kind of what I'm thinking might be some kind of strat, possibly. You will definitely have to be getting some decent favor for that. But I can imagine that being somewhat an interesting little bonus. You can say it now, green is going to be at what, 17 favor? Not bad. Could be there for getting, you know, the possibly Lykanos, and he is. Yeah, so that was kind of what he was trying to do. I didn't even notice it properly during the game. Yeah, I was going for the Lycan Echo there. I was kind of thinking might be a thing. Possibility. Depends if it's gonna be like a relevant thing, but it's something you can do. I'm hoping they're gonna be also selectable basically as villagers, the same as vills, as long as they are this. I'm hoping that the logic is actually fully developed with them as it should be logically. Okay, so there we go. We're gonna be soon getting into that surprise attack. So let's keep our eye on this. Okay, that's Pegasus. Dog being built southwards. There he is, the transport, and there we go. Okay, let's slow it down so that we have a proper idea. Yeah, so that was the Arcadian Meadow as we thought. And it instantly disappeared. Instead of having the 4 minutes in there. And the soldiers therefore can't attack at this point, or is he just like automatically escaping because he thinks he can't attack? Okay, this one is getting converted, right? Could have been probably attacking the Communal Hearth immediately. If he can. That's the question. Do we actually have some kind of further signal which one is getting converted here? Oh, there he is. Whoa, that was quick. Okay, this is a good right now showcase example how quick it is. Before they even actually escaped here. That's stupidly fast. Whoa, okay. So he probably wasn't running away because of the Arcadian Meadow, but because of this. Target an area to temporarily turn it into a peaceful meadow. Units and buildings inside the meadow cannot attack. Okay, this was so odd. Okay, I'm gonna be right now getting it again because... No, first, the conversion was pretty fast. That's kind of like the first idea that I have. And the second part was, I'm still not understanding the Arcadian Meadow. I'm gonna be having to look if there was like a bigger timer or small timer in there. But in the previous game it lasted for 4 minutes. So, what was this? Because now it just like instantly disappeared. So I don't understand what that's supposed to be meaning. Or if it's having some kind of like hit points that it saves, or that can't work that way. So let's get to the bottom of it. But definitely appreciate right now the effort on this build. Yeah, and that is a legit thought that we already had as well. Something that could be done possibly. Okay, so 12 minutes, getting closer to our point. He's getting right now the alpha icons as well, making them better and able to turn them on will, or at will. Getting even the hallowed woodlands now. So there's the transport, there's this. And let's slow this down properly. Should be in a moment catching up to something that is reasonably looking. Okay, so let's keep an eye here to the right. How many minutes or how long time we actually get there. But yeah, for this is gonna be also quite an excellently useful god power, frankly. Like, seriously. Okay, so no, 4 minutes. 240 right now, it's stuck on that. For some reason. Yeah, because it actually started like above 240, if you saw it. It started at like 242. And then it stopped at 240, and now it disappears, so it's bugged. That's some bug. It wasn't even cancelled by the Hestia's Hearth or anything, it was like just legitimately bugged. And right now he's immediately running away, even though he could be probably attacking here because he's thinking automatically, well, what is this right now? 1629. And we're gonna be seeing some signal for the converted unit. Okay, this one is getting converted. And if you switch into yellow... I wonder if yellow actually sees which unit is getting converted. Oh well. Okay, this is this guy. Let's try to remember this one. Next time, I'm gonna be seeing it. I'm gonna be turning it then again once more for this. 29. Maybe I now turn into yellow point of view. 29. 6 seconds. 6 seconds to convert a Hippicon. And is it like an infinite range? So therefore you basically enthrall one unit that is nearby. In like the basic range that is like about where you are having the effect on the villagers. And the unit is lost? Or can the unit run away? Because it feels to me it was already quite a bit far, but at the same time 6 seconds is kind of fast for conversion. It's not entirely like out of the question of, for example, AoE 2 range of conversions. There are also some along those lines. But yeah, considering of course the power of the units, and if you're gonna be possibly hitting, and it's gonna be hitting on a myth unit, I guess it's probably gonna be tied to maybe the hit points or something. But 6 seconds for a Hippicon, which is a high hit point unit, that already seems kinda a lot. No, that's pretty quick, let's put it that way. But that we will be having some kind of aggressive use case for that. No, how long does normal battle take? Half a minute if it's a big one. So you're gonna be able to steal like 5 units. That doesn't seem necessarily that superb. Theoretically, again, feels like interesting god power with this for some kind of fast heroic rush. Especially in team game. Really, the more things I'm seeing here, the more it seems to me that Demeter is a must-play team god. Because there are quite a lot of synergies to be had. In the muddy ones, feels like it's gonna be a bit harder to get them going. But maybe some kind of forward strat with this could be working. What is also very interesting with the Arcadian Meadow, that it's gonna be basically like a probably better version of Ceasefire. Because the Ceasefire currently you can be making forward, you can be making bases, you can make towers, fortresses, whatever. In the original game you couldn't, and I'm kinda asking for that for years, not years, sorry, since the launch of Retold, that people still haven't figured out casting Ceasefire and fortress dropping the enemy into the face, into the base. People still haven't done that and haven't figured out how to do it. It has to be a strat in my opinion. But Arcadian Meadow could be something similar. You're just gonna be right now going into the base somewhere, casting Arcadian Meadow here, and you can do whatever the hell you want in that territory. And the opponent cannot do anything to you. So depends, no? Pretty much depends. Question is, if you're having units in the Arcadian Meadow, for example, you will be having meadow like this. Imagine this is the meadow, and you will be having archers here. Can the archers shoot into the meadow, or can they not? There's something like written about that here. Temporarily turn into a peaceful meadow, and units and buildings inside the meadow cannot attack. Okay, so the units cannot attack. They probably can be attacked by this wording, I'll be expecting. So probably archers might be a problem for that idea. But I can still probably see some kind of versions where that could work. Just if you could be actually making a combination of Arcadian Meadow, and you're gonna be casting the Hestia's Hearth into the middle of it. And you're just gonna be doing it into the enemy base, and you're gonna be constantly stealing units from from him. Imagine if that actually worked. That would be super troll. That would be super funny troll actually. I'll be loving to see if that works or not. But just gonna imagine the combo. Oh, that would be so golden. Just like for seeing it once and then having it forever nerfed to oblivion would be absolutely insanely fun. But that's like that could probably work in my opinion. Now, I'm not imagining that Arcadian Meadow is gonna be blocking you from building anything there. And god powers do not block each other here anymore. So that might be an idea, possibly. Be loving for somebody to do it. Okay, so which one is getting converted? It's gonna be somewhere here, this one, right? Okay, I want to be seen if you're gonna be getting a signal who is getting converted. I don't think you are. Oh yeah, you are. Okay, so you can see right now you are actually seeing it as well. Alright. I can see kinda logic for both, but I would probably prefer not to, because it's kinda standard in Age of Games not to be showing which unit is getting converted, to be making it a bit more rewarding and interesting. So now if you're gonna be paying attention, you're gonna be seeing which one is getting converted. So what do? Delete the unit if you can. That's obviously what you do in Age of Empires 2. In Age of Empires 2, obviously you don't know which unit, but you can kinda guess, usually on the situations. So you are gonna be able to delete even a group of units, because you just don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be giving it to the opponent. So the answer here needs to be, if you really see it, and this is not any kind of artifact from the game, you need to be deleting the unit immediately. Is there gonna be immediate retarget by the Hearth, or is it taking a bit longer? Is having some cooldown? I imagine it's probably having some cooldown or whatnot. Then question, but that needs to be right now what players need to be doing, in my opinion. And if you're gonna be having a proper timing for each of the units, you can of course also time, you're gonna be waiting 3 seconds and then you delete the unit to be maximizing the effect. So that's also what needs to happen. Also interesting part is that of course the conversion means you're gonna be losing all the upgrades. You're gonna be just turning into a standard hippie. Not sure if it's supposed to be like your level of upgrades hippie or if it's a basic one. I think that Age of Mythology turns it into a basic one. If you, for example, do Traitor, then I'm fairly certain the unit also loses upgrades. And Chaos... No, the original Chaos. The original Chaos was doing that as well. In the original game, Chaos was basically turning units neutral. Here, it's only temporary confusion. So, that's how it works in AoM. In AoE 2, you convert exactly as the unit is, which frankly makes more sense to me. But I guess that's some kind of inner logic here in Age of Mythology. It works this way. So yeah. But fun stuff. Fun stuff. Interesting and important things. Okay, let's go further. If maybe the King Midas was doing something at the end, but I don't think he actually got to use him, unfortunately. So that's probably the one I haven't entirely seen utilized yet. That's the only thing I haven't seen. The gold mine cast. Or cast. The ability for the gold mine utilized. And maybe just like villager or the Lykaon turned into villager, but that's kind of how we can imagine how it works. That's not too surprising. That was a costly visit looking at the hit points. They lost like third the hit points there. Just in a few seconds. Okay, there's the F coming up. It also reminds me they didn't get to see even the Harpies, even in the previous game. Also that's their fault. So the Harpies and the King Midas gold mine I haven't seen yet. Okay, not too soon. I'm just like constantly confused today by how they darkened the ages. Some kind of a bug, but it's confusing me to no end. Because the darkened meant that the players are advancing. And now I'm just gonna suck in it, properly appreciating it. By the way, do we have right now Orpheus? How many hit points does he have at the end? 290 in the Mythical Age. No, that's not the easiest to snipe. So therefore the bonus against the Myth units against right now, the range is somewhat limited. But if you're gonna be keeping it, for example, with archers or whatnot, or in specific place, you can definitely get a nice bonus out of it. The Iolaus and Midas is gonna be after. Okay, so I can click this up. But I'm thinking here, unfortunately, they didn't get to do anything. Yeah, which is having right now some waypoint downwards. And chilling with Iolaus when the base is getting destroyed. Unfortunate, so next time, I guess. But yeah, so we have seen all of it. We're back with the Arcadian Meadow. We have seen also the conversion in there. Seems kinda quick, considering also the speed of the units in Age of Mythology. That's also kinda the important part. And bit of a question if you can be getting out of the range. Felt to me that probably not. That when you are locked into the conversion, you are gonna be getting converted no matter what. Which is a weird mechanism, definitely out of the normal, what you see in AoE 2 or AoE 4. And I think in even extended edition, right? I think that the monks on the Chinese extended edition were also limited by range. Which I guess would be expected for me, at least. No, but not the case, apparently. No, come, so that's gonna be there for it for tonight. In the end, we have had some health session, hoping that, for example, next week, or no, next week we're gonna be getting another community session on Wednesday. Then, as I mentioned, over the weekend, probably will be wanting to stream the first round of the qualification, because there are usually enough matches that are not covered, and people might be interested in, so usually trying to help. And then when it's gonna be just like one match after another, no point in casting that when it's already covered. Not like too many people would be interested in the commentary here anyway, as it seems. So yeah, that seems like a plan for AOM. I'm gonna be putting video onto YouTube regarding the tech tree and my ideas about what Demeter is and her things. And we're gonna be also adding the 2 extra games in there for the further information. So if somebody's gonna be interested, if you haven't been here, then look forward to it on YouTube in hopefully next few days, maybe today, but don't want to be promising anything if I'm gonna be able to really properly manage. Not sure about that. But yeah, that's gonna be there for it. Hopefully next week you're gonna be getting more of the Demeters experience, and therefore getting even the King Midas gold mine to see how it works, because I'm having some questions how broken that could be. And well, the Harpies, the special units for the Demeter, I also haven't seen properly. So I'm also looking forward to how they work. So far, well, as I mentioned, I'm thinking that it's a bit lazier than the previous efforts that they have done for Retold. Freyr definitely looks like a lot better example of extra 4th god. Demeter seems, even with the graphics sometimes and whatnot, seems like they didn't really put it as too much of a priority. To be putting it nicely. Some of the ideas with Demeter, I'm very much against what they are doing to the design of the game. It's very much against what Age of Mythology is, and I'm very much not liking that. Because it's gonna ruining what the game is actually known for and what it is liked for. Why would you do that when you have already other games with potentially other such features? Just kind of like, don't ruin what is good about the game with something that people are not playing the game for. Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any kind of sense. But we have talked about some of the things at the start when I was going through the tech tree in there. No, and currently, what kind of the Age of Mythology streams you can switch into? So Punkstar is still playing, as we have seen him play some games. AOT Bystander. Yeah, that's also what I wanted to be having a look at, if the DLC did something with player numbers, because stream numbers seem to be unimpressive. As Neymar Divine doesn't seem like it's interesting to too many people. Who else is in here? Bolit Anar, what are you streaming? Some weekly objectives, seems to be playing against AI. Rock Inc. That's also plenty of AI, probably with some friend and handicaps. Kivy 98. That's either... Oh, that's gonna be probably the new mission coming with the DLC. So I guess if you want to be maybe having a look at that, or rather maybe play it, but if you don't have the DLC, the same as me, You can have a look at Steam, of course. Playing against AI seems to be Lulu TMTC, probably. And Dadush seems to be playing Demeter, and it looks probably some kind of competitive gameplay. Yeah, that's gonna be some Anatolia there. So these are gonna be right now some streams. Obviously, feel free to choose to do with your evening what you wish. No, and for the players today that we have had, let me maybe right now quickly check through the players. So we were streaming, for example, Craig Heck. It was a nice match. He was, oh, I already forgot who he was even playing against. But Tech Tree at the start, and then the first game was what? Oh, that was Paranormal. Yes, that was Iti. Paranormal versus Joao, right? It was Joao Vitor. So Paranormal, he does have a stream. And he's streaming. I have seen him stream lately, so you can be potentially give him a follow on there. Further players. Then we were doing Chew-Later versus Deimos. Deimos is also having stream, but not entirely 100% certain if he has some kind of link somewhere. Yes, he does. Deimos Ferocious on stats. Good. So we can also give some kind of follow there. Chew-Later, 1855 Elo, Greek flag, and number 93 on the ladder. Huh. Who knows who is that Smurf? The next game was Zukolo versus Craig Heck. So it's gonna be, I guess, Deities of Death for Craig Heck. No, and Zukolo, he's having his own stream, but that's gonna be harder to find. Nice actually that Gerbot has added Wikipedia links into AOM stats. It's gonna make things a bit easier for me to look for things, but he doesn't seem to be having any kind of link there. I'm fairly certain he did have, and he streamed years ago, Age of Mythology. But I have no idea at this point what kind of link it could be. I'm gonna be trying standard Zukolo. Maybe I'm gonna be lucky up on that. Evidently not. He used to be having something like with the I Kill You Die. But I've at this point don't really know what kind of stream he has. Because he also streamed Age of Empires too. Can't tell, unfortunately. Okay, so that's gonna be those two. Next match is gonna be there for what? That was a 2v2 Mim with Euso Alenda and Arturello K10 with Black Velvet. That was a 2v2, so thanks of course to all the players that we have so far named, and also these. Not really thinking any of them are having Twitch to recommend. Arturello and Black Velvet, of course, from the Italian clan. Craig Heck from Deities of Death. Mim from the Legionaros Phoenix. There is the clan Zukolo from the Uncrappables. To be precise here on the nicknames and clans. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anybody from earlier. I've actually missed... Yeah, that was the first game. Isomarto and their Super Saiyajin from Evoid Sports. Of course, they have nicknames on Twitch and are actively streaming. So that's Ice Machine TV, is it? And Super Saiyajin, he was even in chat here, so that's a simple one. Okay, so Ice Machine is having some different ending there. Let me see in the videos. He's streaming regularly lately, so you should be able to find out. It is Ice... I'm actually missing a letter in there. Maschine. Okay, but otherwise I did right. Then 3v3 Narcotic, Irae or Diesel Ray, Demeter Main, probably some kind of Smurf, Chromic, Black Velvet and Arthur Locaten. It was a team game. Not really thinking anybody's having some some nick on Twitch from that group, most probably. Narcotic, of course, from Deities of Death, Chromic from Evoid Sports, and Demeter Main with Black Velvet and Arturello from the Italian clan, to be mentioned in the clans as well here. Demeter Main, former nickname Rob El Titano. Then it was there for the last one, Singov, Joker, AOM, and Rate and Rape, Ronald and Ronan. So also thank you to them, therefore. Wouldn't be thinking that none of them are having nicknames on Twitch. Two Brits against Brazilians. Okay, so that's gonna be there for it. I think in here for tonight, from what I can see here. And well, thank you very much there for Nimorom, Katidenks, and their Super Saiyajin for stopping by on the chat. Whoever else maybe lurked around for a bit or watched from the past broadcast, also very much appreciated. Yet again, thank you to all the players that we have seen today and named. And well, of course, if you haven't heard yet, then Boyd is hosting the next tournament that is coming up. Okay, Twitch TV, the last link I've not entirely put in there, right? Missing some letters in there. So Pandora's Box 2 is coming up, sign-ups until next Friday, and then there's gonna be qualification on the weekend. Probably gonna be streaming at least a part of it, and then probably on the next sessions, on the community sessions on Wednesday that we are streaming every Wednesday evening, which is gonna be coming next week. And the coming weeks we might be, after the tournament starts, doing some games from the tournament as well as we have done before with the tourneys. Because not much of a point doing it live when it's already covered, but maybe somebody's gonna be missing games and I'm just gonna be selecting some interesting names and things I'm gonna be curious about. Maybe some Demeter meta. Who knows what's gonna happen there. But yeah, Demeter seems very odd and probably also buggy from what we have seen. So we'll see what the players are gonna be figuring out. We have already put in quite a few ideas into the heads today when we're looking through the tech tree and through the two games that we have seen. So that's gonna be maybe, could be some inspiration for you as well if you are interested in testing it out and have the DLC in the end. So gonna be putting that to YouTube. So much on YouTube. I'm having, of course, plenty of games from the past, and I've also uploaded some games recently, both from Woobley, from the original game, as we have streamed some games between Sensui and Ulysses at, New Year's Eve, or the day before, on Sylvester. And then, well, also there's one game from the community sessions. I'm also having some further games from the community sessions, but we'll need to get into it to put them live there on YouTube too. So if you're gonna be interested, then feel free to stop by. Same link, of course, as here. So again, thank you everybody for stopping by. Kati, thanks, Nimonom, and Super Saiyajin, and for some feedback as well, and ideas into the chat, and lurking, whoever was, and whoever has seen the games here and spent some time here. Appreciate it. And I've been Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks again to all the players due to whom we are having these streams and these games to enjoy. And, well, guess thanks for such and Forgotten Empires and the devs for the Demeter DLC so far. But yeah, well, there are so far some questions, I guess. So we'll see if it's gonna be finished somewhere down the line when, for example, the Chinese DLC for Age of Empires 2 is properly out. But no, we have already shared our opinions on how this all looks and seems. Okay then. See you later, and thank you for stopping by. I hope you had some fun.